Hello everybody, welcome to the first ever Casablanca chess tournament live from beautiful Casablanca. We see a site of the gorgeous playing hall there in Morocco. We have four of the world's best players, very special format. I think it's gonna be a fun weekend.
Jan, it's going to be an awesome weekend. When I hear Casablanca, I don't know whether I think of the movie or the city, but right now the focus is on the city because we have some very special players convened. It's a very special format, and I'm really excited for a weekend of cool chess and a weekend of historical references to old World Championship matches. It's going to be a fun one.
It's gonna be interesting for sure. My name is Jan Gustafsson, and speaking of legends, I'm delighted to be alongside the, I've been told, 12-time Bullet Brawl champion, Grandmaster Daniel Naroditsky. Let's do this.
Jan, you're one of the commentary OGs, and it's an honor for me to be commentating with you. I think it's the first time we've commentated together, and you're someone I've always looked up to in the chess commentating sphere, so really, really excited to be here, and I think it's going to be a great show.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. In chess lingo, OG stands for old guys. So delighted you guys still have me around. Speaking of OGs, they have maybe the chess OG, Vishy Anand, participating in this tournament. It's Magnus, Vishy, it's the doctor, Bassem and Vishy himself over the board taking a break from FIDE vice president duties. That's going to be fun. I wonder if Vishy still got it.
Listen, I mean, I would watch Vishy and Magnus play a game of Tiddlywinks. Whatever format, whatever variant, whatever time control, just get them in the same room together, get Magnus, Hikaru, and Vishy to play, and sign me up to watch. So really, really great to watch this clash of generations and clash of legends that will be unfolding this weekend. And a big shout out to Bassem, one of the nicest guys in chess, Jan. Very strong grandmaster, a doctor, and what a great assortment of players.
Yeah, representing four continents. I mean, I slightly prefer Tiddlywinks, but they still do play chess. That comes with a bit of a twist because they don't start from the normal positions, but instead the games will be played starting from roughly equal positions from historic World Championship matches. And actually, we might have a hand in picking what's about to happen. Let's have a look at the format of this event.
The Casablanca chess tournament features one of the more unique formats of any event on the chess calendar. Four of the world's top players representing four different continents will compete in a double round robin with rapid time controls. The twist: each round, players will begin with a starting position selected from a historically significant game. The double round robin format ensures each player will play every other player twice, for a total of 6 games. For 4 of these games, games 1, 2, 4, and 5, a position will be chosen from a pool of 18 positions just before each round. The remaining 2 positions, games 3 and 6, will be determined by the audience through an online poll. Each game will begin from an equal position with white to play, and each position has been chosen from between moves 6 and 15 of the historical game. No positions were selected from matches that the players have played in. The player with the best overall performance will be crowned the winner of the inaugural Casablanca chess tournament.
All right, I think I got it. So we play 6 rounds. It's 2 games going on at the same time. Every game will be played from a unique starting position chosen by different means, and the means to choose the first starting position is actually us, Daniel. Are you excited? It's a lot of responsibility.
Listen, I wouldn't trust myself. I don't think I trust myself to choose a position that Vishy Anand and Magnus Carlsen will then have to play. But hey, I'm all for it. Let's do this.
I'm mildly worried we might get the wrath of Magnus and Hikaru if we give them the wrong position.
Who chose this position? Was it those commentators?
But here we are. We have 3 positions to select a game from. Full disclosure, we've seen those briefly yesterday. Let's have a look what we We've got Chigori versus Steinitz, 1889. What looks like an Evans Gambit, sharp position, white as a pawn down. That one already looks good.
Oh my gosh, I'm looking at that position on the left. That seems like an Evans Gambit, a spicy Evans Gambit. And there's a lot of history surrounding that Chigorin and Steinitz match. So selfishly, Jan, from both a chess and historical standpoint, I'm going to say one looks spiciest, but what do you think? You're the adult in the room. Make the final call.
Frankly, I think it's gotta be one just for our entertainment. 2 Lasker versus Tarash. Of course, a great match. 2 legends. Lasker, the only German world champion. But the position looks somewhat dully strong, but it looks like a standard sort of isolated pawn position. Not that much happening. And number 3 from the Women's World Championship match, 1958. Also is sort of a standard King's Indian, whatever you want to call this structure. So there's, just for pure excitement, we gotta go with number 1.
And I like doing what I call the Gukesh Nepo test. You basically ask yourself, okay, could this position plausibly occur in like a modern candidates game? And if the answer is no, then that's the position we want to choose. 2, I'm pretty sure could be confused for a modern candidates game. 3 just looks like a standard King's Indian. 1, that's an Evans Gambit. That's some 19th century stuff. So I'm really excited to see how the players are going to handle, Jan, a very unconventional position. And once again, I have so much to say about the history surrounding the Steinitz-Chigorin match, but I'll save the juicy parts for a more opportune moment.
We'll get into the year 1889 in a minute, but our decision is made. Position number 1. Remember, it's white to move in all these positions. And what they will do is they will go through the moves on a real chessboard. Then the position will magically appear on the board. And then the game will start very shortly. It's a 15 plus 10 rapid game. So the players won't have a lot of time to familiarize themselves with classical Evans Gambit positions played by Chigorin and Steinitz. I'm curious about the look on Hikaru's face when they tell him, okay, it's your move, your pawn down, good luck.
Look at that graphic. That looks like Humphrey Bogart. I think I'm gonna make a fool of myself, reveal my deep ignorance. I've never actually seen Casablanca. I'm gonna say the quiet part out loud, Jan, but here we see the moves. First 10 moves that will be played by the players before they will set their minds to this crazy position. The Evans Gambit was contested many, many times between Chigorin and Steinitz. There was a large theoretical battle going on in that World Championship match, and both players faced it from both sides. So it's going to be really interesting to see how their play compares to the play of Steinitz and Chigorin.
Yeah, they had a big clash of styles in general between Steinitz and Chigorin. Steinitz was this big believer in material, in defense. He had all these rules. The king can take care of himself. And Chigorin, much more of a firebrand attacking. So it's very fitting that Chigorin would be a pawn down and trying to put pressure on Steinitz here, who grabbed the pawn, moved around with the queen a couple times. I've also never seen Casablanca. That's a bit embarrassing because I'm a bit of a movie buff. And it's 1942. I don't know much. I know Played Against Them is from that movie, which I guess is what they also tell Sam Shankland about his Neidorfs. But other than that, I have very few references.
Yeah, no, that's really my only reference point is Play It Again, Sam. And then I heard that apparently that is not exactly the phrase used in the movie, but I don't know if I've seen anything past like 1970. My mom will not be happy to hear that as we look at that beautiful playing hall there. Really great place to play some chess. This is a cool format, Jan. I'm all for new formats, getting these players excited. It just produces the kind of chess, the kind of hype that we want to see more of.
Yeah, it's good to see new tournaments happening, experimenting with new formats, and the man we see there, a certain Magnus Carlsen, might have a bit of a hand in it, because it does look like he's getting less and less excited to play classical chess with the starting position and the grind of preparing for games and looking at the Berlin and the Petrov and so on. So whatever gets him out of the house, gets him to beautiful Casablanca. Here, he gets a fresh position, gets to have a fun weekend with Vishy, Hikaru, and Bassem. I mean, it's gonna be nice. Although I have to say, I'm really anxious about choosing that starting position. Because Minds of Pawn Down, it looks tough to play.
Yeah, make sure they don't know who's commentating this event.
Wasn't
Jan.
us.
But as the players adjust the pieces, I'm going to quote from Wilhelm Steinitz, who reported extensively on his match against with Chigorin and wrote his reflections, annotated all the games in the International Chess magazine, which Steinitz founded. He said there was a fight in Havana, that's where the match was played, between an old master of a young school and a young master of an old school. The young master was Chigorin. Youth will be served, and the young school won in spite of the age of its master, writes Steinitz. The young master of the old school sacrificed pawns and pieces. The old master of the young school did more, for he sacrificed a whole number of games in order to establish what he considers a sound principle. Steinitz, very principled, as you said, Jan, believed that chess had strict and stringent new rules, and if you followed those rules, they would eventually lead you to perfect play. Well, he was onto something, because that guy became world champion and then defended his title several times. The Chigorin-Steinitz match, the second official world championship match. First one was in 1886 between Steinitz and Johannes Zukertort, whom Steinitz absolutely despised. And Steinitz would defend his title against Chigorin, against Isidor Gunsberg, to become the undisputed best player of the end of the 19th century.
Yeah, this 1889 match is the first Steinitz-Chigorin match they played again in 1892, and if memory serves, they didn't make a single draw until like game 16 of that match. So it was a very, very violent encounter, as we can also see by the opening.
Yeah,
I have to say though, I'm not a big expert on like these matches, but going through the games, it always felt to me like Steinitz might have been the better player, but I think his principles were a little off. He really went too far, like grabbing material, exposing his king. So maybe Chigorin was right after all, just he hadn't figured it out. And I don't think in modern play, like the initiative has been diminished as much as maybe Steinitz thought it would be.
Yeah, Steinitz was onto something, but he did take his principles to the extreme. He lost some miniatures, and sometimes he looked like a fool. But in 1892, Jan, Chigorin was crushing Steinitz. He was leading by 2 points. It was first to 10.5, and then he had a very famous choke at the very end. He lost.
Was that the one where he blundered the mate in two, a piece up or something?
That was the final game, I think, or the penultimate game of that match, where Chigorin blundered a mate in two up a clear piece. So, these players were taking this match very, very seriously. As we see the games begin, Magnus Carlsen all smiles.
Magnus looks disgusted already with with the moves there.
Disgusted,
so the
happy,
being handed the score sheets.
He's looking around. He's like, "Where are the commentators? Bring them to me now."
Give them white in this stupid position. Then we see the position after bishop g5. That was actually the big innovation. He played knight g5 earlier, which also looks good. Knight g5 and f4. Now they switched to bishop g5 and queen to d6. Wow. And rook d1. Rook d1, a bit of a mistake, because it allowed bishop b6, clearing this a5 square for the knight. So now black can meet d5 with knight to a5, hitting the queen and the bishop. Mistakes were made, but this is where we are. Instead of rook d1, I think white was supposed to go d5, which looks strange, just closing the position, a pawn down, but then the black knight didn't have any great squares. Well, now we can jump to a5.
Yeah, closing the center wasn't really in the vocabulary of Steinitz or Chigorin. And Steinitz is very proud of this queen f6, queen d6 idea. It was his novelty, and he ended up being the only player, essentially, who's ever played it. It's not very good. But see, this is part of what made Steinitz Wilhelm Steinitz. He was so stubborn. He was stubborn as a person. I'll share some crazy Steinitz stories a little bit later, but stubborn as a chess player, right? If he believed a move was correct, he's going to play it. And this is the position where these players can put their minds to the test. Magnus is the white pieces, and it's already a very, very difficult decision, Jan. You have to decide between knight a3. You have to decide whether you're taking the pawn on e5. That's what Steinitz played. It ain't easy.
No, the problem is now pawn to d5 doesn't make any sense because the knight jumps to a5. While d takes e5 wins a pawn, it's attacking the queen with the rook on d1 and with the pawn on e5. But it sort of breaks our beautiful center, opens the bishop on b6. The queen would go away, most likely to g6, and Magnus will have to evaluate if it's worth grabbing that or if he will continue to push for the initiative with a move like knight a3, which, yeah, to my eyes looks like the most normal move. You're covering the c4 bishop to meet knight a5, you're developing a piece, you're hinting at knight b5. Very curious what he's going to choose.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a rapid time control. This is where Magnus would actually prefer to be playing this in a classical game. But here the decision will have to come fast, faster than the players would like, as Hikaru has chosen a move, and it's the very positional bishop to f1. If you showed that move to Mikhail Chigorin, he would have probably,
not
I don't know. Yeah, this was like my 15th choice. What about f7? I mean, what about chess principles? But Hikaru clears the c4 square, potentially for the knight. He obviously is trying to take the sting out of the move knight a5. It's an interesting move.
Yeah, very cool, calm, and collected approach, saying, I have the center. If nothing bad happens right now, I don't need to do anything directly, because black is struggling to develop his pieces as well. The question is, can black try to punish him with something direct, like e takes d4, I'm wondering.
Yeah, and queen g6 always lurking as well, but you also could end up losing a piece if white plays d5 and tries to separate the knights. It gets really complicated, and honestly, 15 minutes is very, very little time. I would just take 15 minutes to remember what I had for breakfast that morning. This position is incredibly complex, and I could easily see the players taking 30, 45 minutes from both sides in a classical game.
The problem is also, like, modern top players, pattern recognition doesn't kick in here at all because it's so random. Your pawn down, the black queen is on d6. It's not a structure you see every day. And Magnus has played knight to a3, which, yeah, as mentioned, looked like the most natural move from a human perspective. Interesting, both of them refuse to go d takes e5, regaining the pawn, which is what Stein has actually played. So they do, what Chigorin actually played. They do value that center.
Yeah, I mean, knight a3 is sort of the instinctive move to me, completing the development. It's the most exciting move, and I'm really, really curious to see how Vishy reacts to it because, again, Jan, you hinted at e takes d4, which is always a move you have to consider. The other idea to unwind is queen g6 and eventually d6. Queen g6, I'm queen kind of sympathetic
bishop e7, no? Like,
and
if you start with queen g6, bishop e7, knight e5, and Chigorin finally gets his sights on that f7 pawn.
Mm-hmm. Which tells us he takes d4 first is perhaps the wiser option. I'm going to show this on the board. Queen g6, takes. And this is maybe not immediately losing, but it gets pretty darn unpleasant after bishop takes f7.
Yeah, this looks very scary. I don't know, maybe there was queen h5 instead of queen takes e4, but it all looks shaky.
So starting with e takes d4, c takes d4, and now playing queen g6. First of all, d5, knight a5. Very, very important detail hitting this queen. Otherwise, you'd lose a piece. And if black can get d6 and like bishop g4 and white's position collapses really, really quickly. This is the thing to understand. It's not all fun and games just because white has the center.
No, and queen g6 might even threaten some direct stuff. Like knight takes d4 tactics are in there, but basically the onus is very much on white to make something happen. And what's been played? Vishy is thinking about it. And in Hikaru against Bassem Amin, after bishop f1, e takes d, c takes d, and knight to g6 has occurred.
Wow, that is a very strange move by Dr. Bassem.
Looks strange, no? Leaving that queen on d6, it wouldn't have crossed my mind at all.
What if white...
e5 is already there?
Should I go to that game just for a second? Because I'm actually stunned at that move. I mean, I'm not supposed to see a piece on g6. I'm just shocked it's not the queen. So let me switch over really quickly to that Hikaru Amin game. where the move knight g6 has just been played. You can see it on the left side of your screen. What if white just goes knight c3 on? What's the deal with that move?
Yeah, for starters, if e5, he wants queen b4. Yeah, like to exchange queens. So knight c3. I don't like it. It feels very unnatural, this knight to g6. What's going on? Because you want to get the queen out of the way to play d6, as you mentioned. And with the knight on g6, it blocks the best square for the queen.
And if I rewind one move, again, queen to g6 is a really natural move to play. I mean, I don't see the catch here. I mean, d5, again, you have at least knight a5, maybe tactics as well. And you're going d6 on the next move. You're chilling. Instead, knight to g6 almost looks like a mouse slip by Bassem. And after knight c3, the landscape changes completely. I'm just going to show for the newer players watching us why knight takes d4 is bad. I'm actually not totally sure how white should punish it best. Even rook takes d4 and knight d5 is a thing. Wow. Bang, bang, bang. And
I can't count. Bishop a1. How's the body count after knight d6 cd? We have two rooks, but we have terrible pieces. Probably it's just bad.
Yeah, this bishop is, let's just say, has seen better days. And after knight g6, knight c3, if instead you had taken with a knight on d4 and then played knight b5, just showing us how thorny this position is, black's queen can slide out of the way and hit this bishop. So there's a lot of sort of tactical details that have to be factored in, and it's very, very easy to blunder in a position like this.
Yeah, they better be well rested. I'm not sure when the players arrived, if there's any time difference. Hikaru has been talking about this, and I guess it applies, or used to apply more for Northern American players who had to travel to Europe to play tournaments that you're always dealing with jet lag. But now chess has changed a bit. You got tournaments all over the place, plenty in the US. Was it a problem for you having to go to US, to Europe, or having to choose if you want to play big tournaments to go to Europe? Is that a thing that happened, or it didn't affect you so much?
It definitely affected me because normally I'd have school or I'd have other commitments. So I would often travel San Francisco to Frankfurt and then to another city, like a 14, 15-hour travel. And then I'd have a game the next day. And I remember one time playing a tournament in Budapest and my passport expired. So we had to go get a new passport, which meant my flight came in an hour before the first game started. I came in and I vividly remember during the game just watching like 30 minutes pass and being like, did I actually just fall asleep at the board? Like, I cannot account for the last 30 minutes. I have no idea what I was thinking. Fortunately, I had the white pieces and it was a Petrov, so I was able to make a quick draw.
And Budapest, you can always do this. In the first Saturday, there's the international
language. That's right.
This is always accepted.
I need to get the heck to my hotel room and sleep. But that happened a few times, actually. And obviously, as the years accumulate, you want those extra few days to really get used to the new time zone and to the new surroundings. It definitely can impact your play.
Very much so. They say in an ideal world, you have like 1 day per hour of time difference. But who has the time to always travel like 10 days in advance? Very tough to be a professional chess player, having to hang out in Casablanca, playing some made-up positions. Poor guys.
Let's go to the board view. Look at the other board, Jan.
What's
this
is
not
doing?
going the way
this is not
going the way I thought it was going to go. What is this?
Knight a5 and knight ec6. A lot of mysterious knight maneuvers in both of the games. Now Hikaru's move looks tempting. No, bishop f1 and say, what are you doing with your knights on a5 and c6? I'm very surprised by a lot of stuff happening here.
Well, to my untrained eyes, Bassem already looks like borderline lost. Maybe I'm succumbing to the Hikaru effect, and after queen b4, he's okay. On the other board, we had knight to a3, followed by knight to a5 by Vishy. So I'm going to rewind 2 moves. So knight a3 was played. We were discussing ED. Instead, knight a5 happened. Magnus slid his queen out of the way. And Vishy puts his other knight on c6, obviously trying to provoke the move d5. But I don't know if this
Pieces
is
are
something I'd be
falling
flirting
all
with.
over each other. If white just ignores it, bishop f1, what's his point? He's the bishop on c8, still dormant. I don't like this.
Yeah, bishop f1 is such a classy move. What does black do after bishop f1? What if you try like
I don't see
a6,
any
bishop
sensible moves.
a7, and
Queen
b5?
Maybe, yeah. Also, white at some point, he can start thinking about d5, leaving that knight stranded forever. But Magnus goes for business. d5, question mark. I think this format is finally showing these guys are all horrible players. Without their opening prep, they don't know what they're doing. Every move looks terrible.
Yeah, send Chigorin back in to beat some sense into these guys.
Yeah.
We need Steinitz and Chigorin back to help us understand what's going on. Funnily enough, there was a lot of drama in 19th century chess. Steinitz was involved in a lot of drama because he was a very demanding customer. He was a very difficult man, shall we say. So he had a lot of demands for the tournament organizers, and there was even a sort of semi-cheating scandal in this Steinitz-Chigorin match later on in the match. But
must have been an early version of Stockfish back then, no? I mean, like, how much damage could it do, Stockfish, in 1889?
It was Stockfish 1.3, I guess. In a nutshell, the games were obviously adjourned, which for the newer viewers means that after move 40, the game was put off and then resumed the next morning. And I'll find this passage in the International Chess Magazine a little bit later, but Chigorin accused Steinitz of secretly analyzing the position. Basically, the rules stipulated that you could not actually analyze the adjourned position by yourself with a board or with other players without a board. And when the game was adjourned, Steinitz remained in the same room to have a drink and play billiards, and Chigorin later accused Steinitz of secretly looking at the board and continuing to analyze the position. I'll find the quote a little bit later, but they were at each other's throats. The situation was fortunately de-escalated and resolved, but hey, this has been an old issue.
A lot of drama, and I recall, I think, Kramnik tweeted that after the adjournment, Chigorin had a 92 accuracy, so maybe there was something to it.
Interesting stuff. And oh my gosh, Hikaru
D queen c5? What's going on there? Rook d5?
I don't know what I'm more shocked. What is happening right now? On the other board as well, Bassem blundered. Rook takes d4, knight b5. He's going to lose.
Rook d4, knight b5 did happen. This looks just very, very bad for black. And d e5, queen c5. I don't know where to look.
Well, I think everything is clear in the Hikaru game. It's just losing for Bassem, and he's going to have to amp up his his focus level, because you ain't gonna beat Hikaru with knight g6. No. But on the other board, I'm looking at the blue arrow. That's not my arrow, and rook d5 is definitely not the first thing that came to my mind. But it's a really cool idea. Actually, enticing black into queen f2.
So f2 is hanging, and rook d5 means black has to go queen f2, only square for the queen. But then after king h1, is the queen actually in trouble there? Rook f1 is coming, it only has the b2 square, then there's some rook b5 looming, or rook d2. Very dangerous stuff.
Yeah, and even if you can't trap the queen, you often can use the queen to win more pieces, but I actually do think you can trap the queen. Rook b5, and does bishop d2 win the game? Is there a better move? Apparently there's a better move.
I was looking at knight b1, then c4 is saying,
yes,
but bishop d2, where is it going?
Rook c1 also wins the queen, probably more smoothly.
Covers all the squares, yeah.
It's on the board. He's played, well, not that position, but Magnus has played rook d5 and king h1. Vishy is in huge trouble.
So I was worried that the position would be too tough for white to handle. Turns out it was too tough for black to handle on both boards. The defenders.
Oh, man. And look,
big trouble.
Jan, look at this. If knight takes c4, knight takes c4 and then d6. I think there might even be rook d2, queen c5, and bishop e3 among. And again, it's like not the only way to trap the queen apparently, because at this point you could probably even just get away with a move like e takes d6. But yeah, apparently there's a better move. It's +4.
Bishop
+4.
h4, queen e2, rook e1. Like, this queen is getting trapped on like every square.
Sorry about that. I'm going to put those moves on the board again. So takes d6. Yes, bishop h4. You're exactly right. Queen e2 and rook e1 just traps the queen. Wow.
It's weird that wherever it goes, it's out of squares. The white pieces are just so much more active with these guys on c8 and a8 still sleeping.
Who knew you could play without a queenside? Well, spoiler alert, you can't.
Turns out it's bad.
Damn, these old guys knew something, didn't they?
It does feel like it. I always wonder, even these guys, but particularly a guy like Morphy, if he played the King's Gambit against me, even with all the fancy computer prep, if I would get a +1, I think he would just crush me. I mean, we're not used to these positions, and people would just, activate their pieces, find some tactics. And maybe it's time to bring the King's Gambit, the Evans, bring them all back.
Honestly, what you're saying contains more than a grain of truth. I actually don't like facing the Evans with black, especially in Blitz. It's easy to get the moves confused. And as we see the two-board view, Hikaru versus Amin is actually down the line that you had mentioned. Black has 2 rooks for a queen, but the huge problem is that bishop on c8 is never getting out. It's just buried underneath a pile of rubble. And Bassem is just desperately trying to get that poor bishop out, but his position is just a trash fire.
Yeah, it takes too long. But still, Hikaru has to finish the job. If you go h5, then there's still knight e5 at least.
Vishy can resign. I think he's about to get his queen trapped.
It only has c3 left, and then
bishop d2.
Bishop d2.
But that allows queen takes a3. I think this is the thing to be aware of. Magnus has to be smart about how he's trapping the queen, because sometimes you allow your opponent to give up the queen for like a couple minor pieces, and it's not that easy. So my question to you, Jan, is I think rook d3 is a better move.
Rook
and
d3
then
is cleaner, yeah.
Let me
then
show this on the board.
Just gets a rook.
Bishop d2, you can take the knight, you can take the bishop, and okay, you're still surviving. You got like a pawn and 2 minor pieces for the queen, but rook to d3 can't do the same thing, because if you play queen takes a3 now, white's just going to take with a rook, and here you've only got 1 minor piece for the queen. And it's not a bullet brawl. You can resign here.
Yeah, 10 seconds increment. These guys are so good. Nothing drastic is going to happen. And Hikaru is looking for a way to unbalance this bishop on a1, because he wants to go h5 and make sure the knight can't go to e5. So he's just going to try to chase this bishop away from that diagonal. And probably successfully. No, like, where does a bishop go? Like bishop c3, queen c1 maybe, then h5. Ugh, it looks terrible for the doctor. Well, there's d takes e4.
And Vishy's now officially down a queen. He parted ways with the lady. And he technically has gotten 2 minor pieces for it, but he's going to resign momentarily on the right side of your screen. Ugh.
Yeah. Bad start for Vishy and Bassem. I mean, we should mention 4 players representing 4 continents here. Not sure we often have that. Magnus Carlsen from Norway, Europe. Hikaru Nakamura. Not sure where he's based nowadays. Los Angeles, USA?
Hikaru?
Bassem, yeah.
Oh, Hikaru, I think still a Florida man with those orange walls, but he travels a lot. Those guys are jet setters. And rook takes b6 by Carlsen, and now he can play e takes d5 and then d takes c6, and then I think Vishy will resign.
Yeah. Vishy Anand, the legend from Chennai in India.
Yeah. Not the start that he had envisioned And it really went off the rails early for both players, the black pieces. Probably the Hikaru game is more interesting at this point, but this is obviously the fan favorite. Apparently, after EDCB, white even can play bishop f6 and go for checkmate.
Come again?
In this position, bishop f6, among other things, is
Oh,
possible and very strong.
once again,
Takes.
this bishop on c8 and the rook on a8, they aren't really contributing much to the cause.
But he's taken on c6. I don't know why this is a brilliant move. I think it's because at the end of the line, he wants to play bishop e7 and pick off the other rook.
Like DC, ED, CD, bishop e7. Yeah, that's bad news. But also, white is just a piece up, right? So once the dust clears, Vishy can very much resign.
Yeah, I mean, he probably has to go BC and then CD just so that he can save his rook. But Magnus has a million ways to checkmate there.
Yeah, which he does resign. Yeah, very secondary first round with black going down. It feels like in 3 moves in both positions.
Yeah, and I
take d6, e6, and want some bishop g4. Bishop g4. No, knight e5 is coming.
Yeah, but I don't think you take it. I don't think you take it. I think d6 and then bishop g4.
Without looking.
Yeah, and then that's like bishop g3 maybe.
Maybe bishop e2 at that point.
Yeah, bishop e2. Like, okay, this is gonna work to the front.
No, but I just know that. I mean, I planned that after knight c4, d6, you simply have bishop e4, queen e2, rook e1.
Yeah.
Because I thought somewhere you go rook d2, queen e4, queen a4, and I get 3 pawns.
Yeah.
But you go rook e1 simply. Yeah. Left to give it up for nothing.
Yeah, I think after rook d5 is just over.
Yes.
Couldn't make out which position they were talking about, but Magnus is saying after rook d5 was bad.
I mean, it's not the most pleasant.
Yeah, I'm not always able to follow these lines. My understanding is limited to like rook d5 good, white position good, center good, trap queen bad. That's right.
Yeah, if I was in then knight g6 and queen e6. Queen e6. Okay, this is Stein, it's 100% sure.
It feels like something out of the
Magnus looks satisfied, won his first game, and Hikaru is about to catch him in the standings, but still has to do some work. The material count is not overwhelmingly in his favor yet, so he still has to use the momentum of black's pieces that are a bit uncoordinated to convert. But yeah, he's going for this queen c1 move.
And Magnus takes a look at that game. Really also never quite getting off the ground. Also now with two minutes on the clock, I just don't see Bassem digging himself out of this one. That bishop's still on c8. And if I could show a quick line that really demonstrate the extent to which black's position is hopeless, take a look at this line. I mean, I'm not using the engine, so maybe it's wrong, but if black had played d takes e4, after queen takes a... Oh, I guess it is wrong. Queen takes a1 was wrong. Because...
That's pretty good, though. Ef h5.
I guess there's this
h6
intermediate move.
Or f6, yeah.
I thought that knight h8 was forced. How could I possibly think the only retreating move was forced? And here I spotted this really cool bishop f6 idea. This is the position I wanted to show. Just look at this. h6 is unstoppable. And Lolly's
black can still play h6, but probably won't do him much good either.
yeah, h6, queen h6, then back to f6. Anyways, let's go back to the live board. Queen c1, d4, h5, knight h8 is on the board.
There it is. I guess you
For
go
content?
h6, fish for some holes there. Bishop f6 anyway? Whoa.
Maybe then black can play h6.
If just gf?
Yeah, I hadn't gotten to that part yet. Queen h6 maybe?
d3, let's say. I'm not sure if there's a direct checkmate.
e5?
Does look plenty
Yeah.
slow.
No, but why would you
E2,
do this to yourself?
Yeah, I guess just h6 creates more than enough holes around the black king for...
He's gone e5, also good. I mean, stopping d6. No, this is totally over. This is totally over.
I was taught that a knight on h8 is often misplaced.
Yeah, I heard, I don't know, my mom used to say that. I didn't really believe her, but then I saw this position. I'm like, yeah, okay.
You need to experience it to believe it. Like, the gut feeling is often knight on h8 is completely fine, but then you sit there and you don't have a square for it, and it is sinking in.
Can you play bishop
How does he
f6
convert?
now?
You really, really, really want to sacrifice that bishop.
Listen, Chigorin is watching. You got to pay homage to the great masters of the past. I actually think it does work now.
Looks pretty good, yeah. Guess black still has to go h6, trying to survive for a bit.
Yeah, and then something like queen f4.
Too many enemy.
Although knowing Hikaru, he likes to convert positionally. He's the kind of guy who would play bishop to d3 here.
Yeah, bishop d3, stop everything. Then one day go h6.
All right. Provoke weaknesses. Just rotate juicer to f6 and just checkmate black. Checkmate black in the big g7 square. Bishop f6, though.
Oh!
Danya style. I love it.
Double exclam! Wow. And the doctor does not look thrilled. This is surgical by Hikaru.
Yeah, I was going to say, surgery won't help black's position. And it's surgically precise by Hikaru. I think h6, queen f4 is very likely. Just for folks at home, gf, ef, and completely unstoppable queen h6 and queen g7 checkmate. You can basically pre-move that.
No, there's d3 and bishop takes f6, so you should pre-move queen g7. Queen h6, I guess you can pre-move.
Yeah. Bassem under a minute. He might even resign here.
Yeah, the man from Egypt, I think 7-time African champion. Only player to ever get a real doctor title and to cross 2700 in FIDE rating, which is pretty impressive. Like, I've never done anything and only crossed 2650. So how people finish their studies and work as a doctor while being 2700, that is seriously impressive stuff.
It's mind-blowing. Queen f4 on the board. Bassem is a very classy guy, great player, very consistent at his level, and he is trying to, work his way out of this position, but this ain't going to happen. Not against Hikaru. Bishop to b4 is a nice defensive move, trying to get that bishop back to f8.
Right.
Just hunkering down and preparing for the apocalypse, but it's already happened. And
the problem is there are too many weak squares around the king.
Yeah.
Also, bishop d3 and queen f5, queen e4, like eyeing that h7 square. It's just too bad.
Hikaru's enjoying himself. He never gets a chance to to checkmate someone like this. Oh gosh, bishop d3. I like that move. Surgical.
Invite everyone to the party. Unlike a real party where, of course, you don't want to invite everyone.
Of course. Just the cool guys.
Yeah. But in chess, it's different. Even this nerdy bishop on f1 has to have a say. d5, stopping queen f5 and queen e4. At a price, of course, e takes d6 adds to White's list of trumps.
But White could also just be biding his time with bishop takes g7 and queen f6. That also should be winning.
Yeah. I notice a difference in styles. I want to grab pawns, you want to sacrifice pieces. Although in this case, is also grabbing a pawn. And once again, double exclaim. There it goes.
And that eval bar really, or that auto assigner of exclamation marks needs to tone it down a little bit. It's been partying since the morning.
Very excited.
It's all over. Queen gonna come on to f6.
How does this go? King g7, queen f6, king g8, just queen h6, and then all kinds of nasty, like bishop h7.
Bishop h7,
queen
mate.
h7 are hard to stop. Yeah.
Bassem down to 20 seconds. It's just so hopeless. That bishop never left c8. Never made its way out of home base. Yeah. Sag.
I mean, probably wants to be a good sporty. Maybe he'll show us bishop h7 mate over the
maybe
board.
knight g5. I know Hikaru's going to go king g8, knight g5, hg h6, bishop
h6,
f8,
bishop f8, h7. Yeah, that's
I'm
cute.
nerding out about this, folks. We got to show this if it doesn't have. Yeah, he's going to resign.
Boring.
I think it's just bad. Yeah, d4 takes.
Let's listen in for a second.
h5, h6, yeah. h6 or f6? I wasn't sure which one.
I thought h6 is also okay. I mean, I didn't see something. I thought you play.
But then I can take on g6 and take on f7.
But I take with king.
Bishop c4.
d5 and bishop a.
If you get the bishop to e6, yeah. This should be fine. Yeah.
No. I mean,
Why?
I spent all the time to play this, but then I decided not to go for it.
But after h6, I feel like I still should have a move there.
I thought you'd play like bishop d2 then.
Yeah, exactly. I
And
moved
then
the
knight
bishop back.
e7, bishop b4,
Bishop
and this I
b4,
wasn't
yeah.
so sure. But okay, I could play d6.
d6,
Yeah,
takes
take
and rook
rook
e8.
e8.
Rook e8, yeah. And then now black is solid. Yeah.
Yeah, this is what I want.
Yeah,
to
probably
play.
this is just much better.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I have a feeling the opening though is a little bit dubious. But I have a feeling you can play queen g6 maybe.
First position, yeah? Or
After
like bishop f4?
after takes queen g6 maybe. I wasn't sure. This
after
one.
knight c3. Instead
No,
of knight
before.
e7.
Yeah.
Instead
Instead of knight g6. Yeah.
But d5 you could play.
No, but d5 now there's knight d4.
Knight d4.
Yeah, I think there's knight d4.
Because okay, no.
Yeah.
it's fine.
I mean, maybe there's some trick, but I didn't see it. I mean, in this position. But still, queen g6, I can also just move the. I can play like bishop h4, something that's still unclear. But I have a feeling what I did is a little bit dubious. I just have this feeling. I wanted something different because I figure if you get knight a5, it's just too easy to play for black, basically. That's why.
I thought queen c2 or bishop f4.
Yeah.
How did you like it?
Yeah, it was fine. But Magnus.
Knight d4 was a mistake. h6 was a better move. And then queen e7.
Arkady
So h6,
Borkovich,
bishop e3?
After e5. Yeah.
today president.
No, which position?
Instead of knight d4.
Instead of knight d4.
Yeah, so h6.
h6 and then queen e7.
Like this.
Yeah.
Okay, this is.
Well, that's a computer. That's a computer.
Yeah, it's okay.
Computer stuff. That's a computer stuff.
Check with Stockfish. Then I go out there. Guys, blunders.
But knight e3 is a bad move, I think, right?
Which one?
Knight e3 is not a good move. What Magnus
Yeah, I
did
just
didn't-
want to
No,
let
it's
you
not
guys
a good move.
That's not
know
a good move. I didn't think
you're not actually that good at chess.
It was like knight e3, knight e5, queen e4, knight c6.
Bishop had to play somewhere queen g6 instead of queen c5. And that was holding. That was holding.
Yeah. No, because the start was knight a3, knight a5, queen a4, knight 7, c6. And I think black's probably completely fine there. I mean, no, I just figure I have to do something to keep the center. Because if I don't keep the center, I mean, it's like any other Evans gambit where you get the pawn back and then you
if I
take the
might
bishop and
play
d6
d6,
and
yeah,
okay,
it's
I mean,
fine.
only black can be better in those lines. I thought.
Dude, I have no idea what they're talking about right now.
Still the
Yeah,
end of the game.
I think now they're debating the choice
No, it's fun.
in
though.
the starting
Good.
position where Hikaru is
Tricky,
declaring he
tricky
didn't
story.
want to go knight a3 because of knight a5, so he went bishop f1. But yeah, Hikaru mentioned earlier he didn't like this knight g6, which also looked very, very strange to my eyes. Might not have been too bad yet. But ED, CD, queen g6 and d6 looked so much more natural, so I was very surprised.
Yeah, we'll go through that moment. I'm going to start from the end. The position where Bassem resigned, just that checkmate, which could have happened. Of course, queen takes h6 here wins, but knight to g5. It's not the best move, but it's definitely the prettiest. hg, h6, and black can prolong the game with king f8. But if black plays bishop f8, you have a lovely pawn mate. Likely Hikaru would have just taken on h6. But let's rewind back to the quote-unquote starting position. We remind you that this is taken from Chigorin versus Steinitz from their 1889 World Championship match in Havana. D takes e5 was played there. Hikaru plays bishop f1. And in this critical moment, yeah, go ahead, Jan.
Dang, sorry to interrupt, but I think we are actually being joined by the black player in this game, Grandmaster Bassem, to explain to us what went wrong. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining. We can't hear anything, but he doesn't look too upset.
My first time listening to Martin.
I'm hearing something. Bassem, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hello.
Now we're here.
Perfect.
Hi, Dania.
There he is.
How you doing? So what went wrong?
Yeah, it's tough start. The position was very interesting. Not sure this knight d4 was so good. Maybe just queen g6 or knight g6 here. But after knight c3, knight g6, knight c3.
Yeah, we were wondering inside of knight g6 if you can just play queen g6 and d6 and try to get the pieces out. It depends on some tactics, I guess. If white can play d5 or whatnot.
Yeah, d5, knight d4 is what we briefly discussed after the game. Yeah? But I'm not sure.
What was your worry here?
Mainly I calculated queen g6 before taking on d4, but then he plays d5, like with pawns on e5 and c3, and then after knight a5 he has queen a3, like a move earlier.
G6 here.
Yeah, queen g6 here, d5, knight a5, queen a3. It's still good for black, but I thought f6 I have to play here. And I was not sure if what happens when he but maybe if he takes I could play rook e8 first. But I see it's good.
And FG, yeah, I guess that does look a little scary.
Yeah, also. Yeah, but I could play maybe rook e8 also instead of taking on g5. But then I allow d6. Yeah, then plus 6.
Or maybe,
just take.
F6,
yeah, both are okay. Yeah, this is what I really wanted to play first, but I was not sure what's the evaluation here. Because usually in these positions you don't like to give up the center that easy for white. So ed4 was the last move I wanted to play, but then what else? Yeah, if not queen g6, then I have to take. But maybe queen g6 was a better try. And here. Yeah, he has all kind of jumps if my queen goes anywhere. So knight d5, knight b5 are all threats with so all tempi are coming. So I thought, I have to simplify, but it was not so good. But later I thought I could take on e4. This is where I spent most of my time. Yeah, after here, here, for instance, take queen a1, take h5, and h6. Yeah, so it was h6 or f6. It's not so easy to tell. And maybe this was much better decision, of course. I spent most of my time here calculating this, but then went for this bad. I think bishop c3. Keeping all the pieces in such position is not good when you are defending.
How do you like the format? Is it very strange to be thrown into a completely new position and then clock is running quickly? Is it fun?
When you are playing, it's not so much fun, of course. Especially if it's such a difficult position. With black, maybe it's equal, but with black you are in defensive side, so it's not easy to find the accurate moves. And as happened in the game, one bad move is enough to destroy your position. So But it's interesting, of course, to play something new for the first time and think. But it's, I mean, still it's new, so it's not easy to know what's the right strategy. Like in the first move, I spent like 4 minutes trying to figure out the position, which is also a bit too much in a 15 minutes game. So yeah, we'll see how it goes from now on. We'll try to play a bit faster in the beginning or take more time. I don't know.
Bassem,
We have to apologize. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I was just quickly going to ask, what's the atmosphere like in the tournament? How do you feel in the playing hall? What is it like?
Yeah, it's a very nice playing hall. I mean, it's a historical place, as you can see. We have a lot of spectators on site, which is very nice, of course. Yeah, I mean, the playing venue is really good. And yeah, of course, once you start playing, you only focus on the board. You don't feel anything around. So, but yeah, so far the organization has been perfect.
Sounds great. And I want to say we have to apologize because we actually chose that starting position. We thought it could also be tricky for white, but in practice it looked like black cracked in both games. So it's our fault, but you'll get white next round. All the best for the rest of the tournament.
Good luck.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you.
How does the next round get chosen? It's not on us. I think it's on the players to decide. And I'm very curious how they will reach an agreement, because my best guess would be that whoever plays with black next round will be more in favor of positions that look nicer for black, and vice versa, no?
That would be the logical thing, as we see the 3 choices for the second round. A Sicilian there on the right in the Smyslov-Botvinnik game, but maybe the players have had it with 1 E4. Unfortunately, it looks like all 3 games come from 1 E4 openings.
Very much so. 2 Sicilians and 1 probably French, at least a French structure. Graf versus Menchik, Rotterdam 1934. Jiyun versus Galyamova. That match I followed, showing my age here, in 1999. Jiyun with the white pieces, looks like fairly standard Sicilian. And Smyslov-Botvinnik, can't recall that game, but also fairly standard Sicilian. Which one do you like?
I like the third one. I mean, I like Smyslov-Botvinnik. It seems like a juicy, cagey Sicilian game where, you know, both sides have dynamic chances. But, you know, really all of the games, all of the choices have some moxie. And, yeah, I'm curious to see what the players choose.
I like position 1. Looks like that center is already about to explode. It looks nice for white, but we know the positions are roughly equal, so it can't be too much. So I doubt they will choose it, but it would be nice not to just say Sicilian. Give us some French.
Absolutely. Either way, I think it'll be fun, and I think that the players will have to learn on the fly and make adjustments to the time they spent on the first move. We saw there Bassem and Vishy struggling with the challenges of the first game, but now the shoe's on the other foot, and we will see if they can rebound.
Also, all these positions look more quote-unquote normal, so these top players, they will be able to rely more on their pattern recognition, their general chess skill, while the one there in the first game looked very, very particular. So the games will be back in around 7 minutes. What do? We go on a brief break?
Let's go on a brief break. Let's refill our coffee cups and get ready for some more exciting Casablanca chess action.
In a couple of minutes. Thank you so much for watching.
I'm here with Grandmaster Hikaru Nakamura, number 3 in the world in Classical at 2,789, number 2 in the world in Rapid at a rating I should have memorized before we started filming, number 9 in the world in... Did I say number 2 in Rapid?
Said the wrong word.
Yep, yeah, damn it. Alright. I'm here with Grandmaster Hikaru Nakamura, rated number 3 in the world in Classical Chess at 2,789, number 2 in the world in Blitz, and number 9 in the world in Rapid. And he is playing in his 3rd Candidates here in Toronto. Hikaru,
Good to see you.
Yes, good to see you too. Wow, I don't even know where to begin. Let's start with the third candidates. We're here in Toronto.
I think I'll be pretty succinct about it. It'll either be a very good event or probably a very bad event.
Going into the 2022 candidates, I don't want to say you didn't expect to be playing for first place in the final game, or you just kind of didn't have any expectations, period.
Well, I think in that candidates, my only goal was to not make a fool out of myself. I think if I go back to sort of the start of the whole process, playing the Grand Prix, the FIDE Grand Prix events in Berlin, it was mostly the same thing. I just wanted to be competitive, and that was all I was hoping for.
How has it changed your life? Obviously, as a creator now, but also just for chess, the love for the game.
First of all these people during the pandemic have been watching my stream. These top players, I'm not saying they're watching every day, but they had at least seen it. And I know some people like Wesley, I think watch it very frequently. When they watch streamers, or you watch people streaming chess, your view of the person becomes very different when you actually have to compete against them. For example, if I go back to when I played Magnus in this famous match, I think it was 2009 or 2010, I forget when it was, in Moscow, the famous Blitz match, Magnus was able to see that my opening theory was not great. We played a bunch of games, played a bunch of different openings, and I think one of the biggest things that he realized is that my opening theory, my general knowledge was not great at that time, and he was able to use that against me a lot in some future games over the following years, and I lost a lot to him. Neither of us really knew each other, and so it sort of made sense to play. Now, obviously, I've said this too, I would never do that. If I were given the choice, I never would have done that, looking back, but it is what it is.
What is the future of chess in your opinion?
Well, nobody's going to like my answer on this, but I think nothing's going to change. I think, truth be told, I think FIDE is very, very resistant to change. I don't think they want to get away from the long history they have with classical chess and the classical world champions and the whole format. I don't think anyone's going to be as dominant as Magnus has been, or perhaps will be, and if they're not changing it for him, I don't think they're changing it for anybody.
Obviously, you love chess, and you're... I mean, I hope, right? You love chess. We can start there. Do you love chess?
My king is a little open, and I need to develop my pieces. How about pawn to a3 with the idea of pawn to b4 and then bishop b2, pressuring the e5 pawn? Hey, I need your help with this position.
Yeah, for sure. It's knight d5.
Think so?
Yeah, you either get a beautiful knight on d5 or black captures and gives you a strong pass pawn.
No way, the little guy will never survive without active pieces protecting him.
I'm just saying, I win positions like this all the time.
Hey coach, we need your help.
What do we do in this position?
Oh, play bishop e3, develop the knight. This is a textbook case of a bishop-knight imbalance. You play b3, restricting the knight, and that sets the stage for a later pawn a4, gaining some space on the queen side.
Oh, that's great, thank you.
No worries. I'm International Master András Tóth. I'm presenting to you Jeremy Silman's masterpiece, The Amateur's Mind. In chess, in order to win games, we need to come up with masterful ideas, and that is exactly what this course is going to teach you about. We are going to weed out the faulty amateurish thinking, and we are going to replace it with masterful habits. And today, you are welcome to start this journey for free on Chessable.
The Casablanca chess tournament features one of the more unique formats of any event on the chess calendar. 4 of the world's top players representing 4 different continents will compete in a double round robin with rapid time controls. The twist? Each round, players will begin with a starting position selected from a historically significant game. The double round robin format ensures each player will play every other player twice, for a total of 6 games. For 4 of these games, games 1, 2, 4, and 5, a position will be chosen from a pool of 18 positions just before each round. The remaining 2 positions, games 3 and 6, will be determined by the audience through an online poll. Each game will begin from an equal position with white to play, and each position has been chosen from between moves 6 and 15 of the historical game. No positions were selected from matches that the players have played in. The player with the best overall performance will be crowned the winner of the inaugural Casablanca chess tournament.
the first Casablanca chess tournament featuring 4 world-class players from every continent, from 4 continents, now more than 4 continents. While we're waiting for round number 2, we can see the players already busy with selecting the position, because it's their turn to select the position. But before we get to it, we have a quick CTA, because Blitz Champs is returning with the 3rd installment. In the 3rd installment, Blitz Champs will see 8 NFL players battle for the crown and the $100,000 prize pool for charities of their choosing. Returning champ Drew Tranquil headlines the event, along with Blitz Champs OG Larry Fitzgerald and the highest rated in the field, Chidobe Awuzie, who will blunder and fumble. I guess that's a football term. Who will checkmate and touchdown? Touchdown, I've heard of. Blitz Champs the 3rd kicks off on May 22nd. As always, we're streaming the action on YouTube and Twitch. Use !Blitz Champs in chat for all the info. Daniel, are you a big NFL guy? Do you know these people?
I wouldn't call myself a big NFL guy. I'm more into the NBA, but I do know who Larry Fitzgerald is. I do watch my home team, the San Francisco 49ers. Rest in peace. They did lose the Super Bowl, unfortunately, to the Kansas City Chiefs this past year. So it's a cool event. Really nice to get top athletes involved in chess. And I think it's great.
Who's the GOAT in the NFL? Is it Tom Brady? Joe Montana? Who's the GOAT?
In terms of quarterbacks, I think that of currently active quarterbacks, I'd have to go with Patrick Mahomes. As much as I hate saying that as a 49ers fan, he's amazing. But Tom Brady obviously is the classic pick. And his career spanned something like 20 years, which he played for the New England Patriots. But right now, we have position selection going on. Jan, as you see Hikaru Nakamura looking over the options.
Easier.
Has a sheet of paper and he picked one. So how it's going to work is the players will be shown the 3 positions we've seen before the break. They will pick a number 1, 2, or 3, and then the majority wins. Should be a tie, should be 2-2. Then they will flip a coin in order to establish what position will be played. As a refresher, the positions are picked from historic World Championship games. It's a position with white to move somewhere between moves 6 and 15. That is roughly equal, I think that means. Computer says it's plus 0.2 till minus 0.2, and it will be chosen a different way. Before every round, round 1 was us. Now it's the players, and in round 3, if anybody's out there watching, the chat can decide.
Dr. Bassem, a lot of steps are being taken here. This seems like a very intricate process.
Yeah, it's complicated. Bassem smiling, doesn't like any of these positions.
Yeah, he's like not 1, not 2, not. It's like when you come into a restaurant, like a fancy restaurant, and it's got only 5 items on the menu. You're like, I don't want to have the duck. Like, I don't want the, like the filet mignon. Let's choose a different restaurant. Nah, you got to choose one of the 3.
Do you guys have a cheeseburger by any chance?
That's right. Give me a cheeseburger and an iced tea, and I'm happy. Bassem, lost that first game to Hikaru. He will have white in the second game. And Jan, the first couple moves are super important. You can't sleepwalk your way through any of these positions.
No, and how to balance your tie will be key. It did look, although they thought a bit, that both Vishy and Amin played a little too fast with black in the first game and got into trouble right from the get-go. Now with white, might be a little easier. We'll see.
Okay, what happens now? They chose the positions. Now they have
Where's Magnus?
treated. Yeah, that's the big question.
There he is.
There are 3 positions. You can choose one, and you will play in the second round with black pieces.
There's a lot of sitting down and standing back up that's happening. Now Magnus, I assume, is choosing the positions.
I'll go with
He's black next game.
Okay. Thank you.
Did he say B? Always needs to have a special lingo there. He's told he can pick 1, 2, 3. He goes with B.
You have the chicken or pasta? I'll have the steak. Here's a reminder of the positions that the players are selecting from. 1934, 1999, or 1957 are the years.
Magnus went with number 2. Maybe he's feeling it's the most standard Sicilian, so maybe it gives him the biggest edge.
But okay, not in spirit of tournament. You want a tactical spicy position, no?
Yeah, he can maybe spice that one up, but it's the most standard position indeed.
Yeah, that seems like I was going to say a Najdorf, but it's definitely not a Najdorf because the pawn's still on A7.
On A7, yeah.
But something resembling the general Najdorf adjacent, shall we say.
Yeah. Scheveningen.
Well said. I was leaving that one to you.
I worked hard on that. Yeah, my Scheveningen pronunciation is pretty good. Used to be used as a tell, so Dutch could tell friends from enemies, making them pronounce Scheveningen. But yeah, I got them fooled.
I think it's known as a shibboleth. It's like a term that separates one group of people from another. It's like you say Scheveningen, so we know you're an American.
Exactly. We have vote results coming in. Position number 2 is the winner. Boring. Wow. 2 votes for number 2, 1 for number 1, 1 for number 3. All right, guys, better spice that up. Ziyun versus Galyamova is where this was played in Kazan and Shenyang, 1999. Ziyun won that match, I think, starting a long, proud line of Chinese women's world champions.
Yeah, and that position obviously is interesting. I don't want to pretend it's not. I was just comparing it to the other 2 positions. And it's fairly standard, but at the same time, there's some bite to it. So once again, first couple of moves will be really important. And I wish the process of starting the games and choosing the positions was more compact. And, when a tournament happens for the first time, what do you do as a fan? You really admire the endeavor. You admire the fact that the organizers love chess and brought all these great players together. And then you point out things that can be done better the second time around if this becomes a tradition. And yeah, I feel like getting the game started, getting the process of choosing the position more streamlined would be a nice addition. But this has been a really, really interesting new endeavor. And I'm just excited to see the chess, honestly.
Yeah, but I think you're onto something. What they should do is just let us have decided the game every time.
That's
these
right.
Players, they can't agree on anything. It was Anand C, Hikaru A, Bassem went with B. So Magnus' vote was the decisive one, giving us that Sicilian because each position had a vote going into it.
The idea of a tournament that starts from a position is not entirely new. There was the concept of themed tournaments, which I know is still a thing online, but there were actual, serious themed tournaments where you basically had to play a particular opening, like you had to play the kings. Every game had to start from, let's say, e4, e5, f4. And Jan, you probably know more about this than I do, but there were some very high stakes theme tournaments. I think it was more popular in the 90s and like early 2000s.
I recall this very famous Sicilian tournament, this open Sicilian tournament in, I could be wrong here, 1994, somewhere that ballpark, where most of the world's best players were taking part. And then Salov surprisingly won, who was not known as a Sicilian player, played all kinds of shortcuts, played like 5f3 against the Najdorf, and just crashed people in the Sicilians. I'm sure there were others, but I do think that's the most famous one.
Yeah.
But they don't do it much anymore, do they? Theme tournaments? I haven't heard of it's over-the-board one for a while.
I mean, I think the romance of it is diminished a little bit because the players just know everything, so they would just, prep. And if you did a King's Gambit theme tournament, I mean, Jan Nepomniachtchi has resurrected it to some degree, but White would just be struggling every game. So at the GM level, it's an interesting concept, but something like this is more practical because then you avoid preparation.
Yeah, which really, I think, especially Magnus, he's really into avoiding preparation, finding fresh new formats. They've had this Chess 960 tournament here in Germany. There's, of course, all kinds of different rapid formats, and now this one where the position gets chosen. I kind of like it. Let's see how the players feel about it at the end of the day.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. We have that Sicilian position. We obviously could tuck in and start analyzing it with the engine, but that's probably not in the spirit of this tournament. So we should probably put ourselves in the shoes that the players will be in whenever the games begin. Hopefully soon. I think 2 minutes from now.
Should be in a couple minutes. Magnus Carlsen made headlines in my humble city in Hamburg, Germany, because he joined a local chess club. He joined the St. Pauli club in the German Bundesliga that just got promoted to the first league. We have this weird league system in Europe, and everybody's very excited because Magnus is going to come to town, play for St. Pauli. So it's going to be a big race. Hikaru's and Amin's team is the reigning champion, Viernheim. Vishy is on my former team, Baden-Baden. And now Magnus joins the fun. Do you have leagues in the US? I don't know how stuff works there.
Not like a chess league. I think largely because the distances would make it impractical. A flight from New York City to San Francisco is 6 hours. So just think about that for a second. So I think just geographically, it would be hard to centralize a chess league in one place. But of course, there is the Pro Chess League and formerly US Chess League. So online, sure. This kind of thing has happened, but definitely nothing like the Bundesliga tradition or the tradition of leagues in Poland and Turkey and elsewhere. We just have a lot of underrated juniors.
Beautiful, beautiful.
That's what we're all about.
Fun to play those guys.
Oh, yeah.
But still, it's got to be possible. Go with Eastern Conference and Western Conference. Then little best of 7 traveling back and forth.
Dude, Nuggets Timberwolves game 7. I'm going to put on the TV. Nobody's disturbing me when that's going down.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm also excited about the Dallas game tonight because as a German, I've been rooting for Dallas historically because they had Nowitzki. And I think they can close it out against OKC. Is that tonight? I think that should be tonight.
That's tonight. Yeah, I'm watching that one as well. Really, really fun times in the NBA, fun times in the chess world as we look at the playing hall, and the games should be starting in a minute. And Bassem, I mean it. Okay, I'll stop there.
Wow, wordplay. Should remind everybody that
lowest
at the end of round 2. No, that's sarcasm. Language I don't speak at all. At the end of round 2, you can vote for the starting position because the players messed it up. But at the end of round 2, the chat can vote. The lines will be open once the games are over the round 2. We open the lines for chat to vote for the game that these players should play for round 3. So you should stay tuned and make them play some ridiculous King's Gambit or whatever. Whatever the choice will be, should be fun.
Yeah. All right.
So what's this format? They play 45 minutes, then they leave us here by ourselves for 45 minutes? What do the players do? They have a little VIP room.
I'm telling you, they keep coming back to this playing hall and then going away. They're like, at the end of a symphony when the conductor, goes in and takes the bow and then goes out and back in again. That whole ceremony. That's what that looked like.
Not
but
familiar.
Finally, we have the handshake. It's Carlsen with the black pieces against Dr. Bassem. And of course, Vishy Anand will take on Hikaru Nakamura. Here we go.
Yeah, we get the Sicilian. Magnus will have thought about this. This is an unbalanced yet normal position. He probably likes his chances against Bassem there. And Vishy, no stranger to Sicilians. Hikaru, of course, has played everything, but I don't think of him primarily as a Sicilian player. Of course, he's played plenty, but I'm not sure if that's his home turf.
Yeah. And
there we see Dvorkovich making the first move.
Yay.
Let's go.
Okay, we seem to have a small traffic jam after one e4 because the ceremonial first move has to be made on the other board as well.
And then we need the sheets.
More applause. The sheets that have the actual
Yeah.
moves that the players need to play to reach the position. They're like, what is this chess notation thing? Haven't brushed up on my B and D files in a while.
How can they translate these strange letters into moves on the board? That's how it occurred. It's whatever this called, the classical Sicilian. And now the knight goes to f6, and it's fairly standard Scheveningen.
Yes, so black could play a6 and transpose into a knight, but instead we see this trade on d4 followed by b6. And that leads us to the position where the games will begin. Well, after bishop
Two more
b3,
moves.
b7.
Bishop e3, bishop b7, king h1. King is already on h1.
It was on h1. It actually was a different type of castling.
I've practiced that to castle putting the king on h1 or the rook on e1 in one go, but normally you can't get it.
I think that it would be so nice to be able to castle queenside with the king already on b1. That would be a real game changer.
That's why they call it long castles, because you also need to play king b1, so it takes an extra move.
It's like in Fisher Random when you go from, I don't know, like one side of the earth to the other, and you castle from g8 to b8. Suddenly, that king gets
I feel they should
away.
change that. I feel that's a flaw in Fisher Random. Like, you can't attack on the king side, and then the king just decides, no, I'll go to the other side of the board. It doesn't make sense. Like, castling should be limited to like 3 squares away.
Yeah, I mean, you're in like New York City 1 second, and then you're in London the next minute. Like, did you take the Concorde or something?
That does not sound right at all. Who wants to go to London?
I know, right? So, the games have begun. The players are pondering their next move with white. Now, I think it's less of a high stakes position for both sides than the previous one, but still, there's a lot of tension in the center. So maybe we should jump in and start examining some of these complications. Neither
What
player
should
has
white
moved
do?
yet.
G4 looks a bit much, no? Then black is ready to pounce in the center with d5. Can't do that.
I think my blitz instinct would be bishop f3 or rook 81, but I could also see a case being made for a very positional approach like a4. I do have a slight worry that black is sort of threatening d5 and then bishop c5. And bishop f3 has been played.
Yeah, that looks very natural.
But
covering e4, neutralizing the guy on b7.
Can black weasel away with I don't think Magnus will play this because it's a bailout attempt. But d5 can be calculated here.
Yeah, I thought you might end up slightly worse if just d5, ed5, but maybe it's nothing special. Queen
I think
d3,
it's just a
wherever
big trade.
d2. Yeah.
Takes.
Yeah, let's say bishop takes, or knight takes, doesn't matter, rook d1.
Yeah. It's just a total bailout and a draw.
Fairly equal. Bishop d5, ed c3. Black has the isolated pawn, but white has a pawn on f4, so it can't be very much.
Guess what?
And
Magnus
D5
has
played.
already played d5.
Wow.
And bishop f3 on the other board by Vishy has been played.
Is this just gonna be 2 quick draws, and then we're sitting here for 2 hours waiting for the chat to vote on move 3?
Save us,
Was it
Bassem.
ed5?
Is it forced? Can you go e5?
e5,
No. Probably...
what's going on? Bishop c5?
Queen d2.
Queen d3?
Or queen d3, I guess, yeah.
Maybe queen d3, so it doesn't.
So that you can go ef.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's any good, frankly. Bishop e3, ef, and just whatever. Bishop c5.
But at least this has some meat on them. I would definitely go for this over that bailout line. Yeah, bishop c5, fg. I assume you take.
Say king takes, some
yeah.
f5. I don't know. I like the bishop.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like white's... I would go something like rook a e1 here. Trying to set f5 up.
Black looks quite stable to me. I don't know. Queen f6, rook a8. I don't know. I like bishops, but might could checkmate it.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if this is also forced for black. Like maybe knight e4 can be considered, but let's wait for Amin's move because he just played e takes d5.
He does take, yeah.
Boo hiss.
And black also has to go for this Zwischenzug, bishop c5. Knight takes d5 directly, then you're just a bit worse after knight takes d5 with the resulting isolating pawn. So
and
mass
d5,
simplifications are incoming.
d5 by Hikaru as well on the other board. So we're just getting a delayed version of this game.
These modern players, they're such cynics. They see a chance to simplify and jump at it.
I see some trades. Okay, now Vishy is pondering literally which pawn move he's going to play. I'm hoping for a little bit of variety, maybe e5. That position did look tempting to my bullet brain.
But in bullet, knights are much stronger than bishops. But in 15 plus 10, the bishops gain in value. So I don't know. I would think Vishy doesn't mind. Nice little ed5 and pretend a bit against that IQP.
Yeah, I wonder if in choosing this position, the players, quickly calculated some lines. And obviously, if Magnus spotted the threat of d5, he could have felt that, well, I basically have a clear path to equality. That makes it easy to play this position. They're such professionals, these guys.
Although maybe with white, in hindsight, if this d5 just works, maybe rook a d1 was the way to go. And then after d5, at least you can go e5, leaving a bit more meat on the bone.
Yeah, why are both players thinking right now with black? Well, not both players. I guess Vishy still hasn't made a move, but Magnus is not playing bishop c5 yet. Is he really thinking about like e takes d5?
E takes d5, I don't like. Maybe knight takes d5, so the bishop can go to f6.
He's played it.
But, whoa. Still surprised by this.
Yeah, maybe knight takes d5. He can't go bishop c5 there because of knight f6 check. So he's going to have to recapture on d5. Yeah, but at least this gives us a little bit more meat on the bone. Yeah, bishop takes.
Not sure how much. Bishop takes, then maybe you throw in bishop f6.
Ooh.
Zwischenzug.
Ooh, that's a cool one, actually. And that's an important move, getting the bishop to a better square. So let me put this on the board. And e takes d5 has been played by Vishy. Yeah, actually, we can wait for Magnus to play the move. Good spot, Jan. Bishop f6. Queen d3. Is this heading toward a draw? Will Magnus try to grind out an endgame?
I think it's bishop f6, queen d3, queen d5. And Magnus probably calculated he's in time to go whatever, rook e8, rook d8, d4. So he's not in any trouble there. But I don't see how black can ever be better. Yeah,
it's just a dead draw if the queens come off the board.
Yep. Like we said, can't have these players decide anything.
No, I mean, hey, they can't decide. They can't be allowed to decide where they eat. What their day looks like. We gotta make these decisions for them, Jan. I think that's the takeaway from this round.
Absolutely.
Got to pick out their shirts. Choose which restaurants they go to, which sites they see in Casablanca. We just got to do everything for them.
I've never been to Morocco. I'm sure it's beautiful. Casablanca. How big is that city? It's pretty big for European standards, right? Like 3.5 million.
Yeah, that's a good estimate. 3.36 million? No, even more. Big city. And the queens are coming off the board. I wonder what the draw for policy is in this tournament. Do we know that? Like our draw offers, no draws, so no draw offers at all.
I don't know. I made that up, but it would be logical.
We hope. What is your stance on? Because I played one tournament, open tournament, of course, ago, where draw offers were banned entirely, and this was pretty cutting edge for like 2016. What is your stance on banning draw offers or draw offers after move 40, as we see the queens come off the board?
As a lifelong chicken who spent a lot of his time during tournament games thinking when is the right moment to offer a draw, I'm surprisingly very much in favor of no draw offers at all, because I think it greatly hurt my chess career that I spent so much time wondering when is the time to take it, offer a draw, make a draw. Well, you can just focus on playing moves. If that's removed from you, I think it's a better product for spectators, and I think it also makes life easier for the players. So I'm all for it. Obviously, Grandmasters, if both want to draw, there are still ways to play boring lines or find a threefold repetition and so on and so forth. But in general, I think just get rid of it. We don't even need to move 30 or move 40 rule. Just get rid of it. If the players want to draw, they'll find a threefold or whatever.
Yeah, and I mean, you don't want to. You want to enforce the spirit, not the letter of the law. So if there's like a rook and 3 versus rook and 3, you don't need to check their repetition claim and make them, get bare kings. But it is good to encourage, fighting to the end. And players have started to do that anyway. And Magnus is largely responsible for that, often showing that there's a lot to fight for, even in positions that seem totally sterile. That's part of what makes Magnus so dangerous. And this position, if I had it against Magnus, I wouldn't be confident that I could, make a draw here, actually.
No, I also wouldn't.
Magnus is playing for a win. Let me tell you, rook is coming to e4. And it's important not just to brush this off. I can totally see Magnus grinding this one out.
You're right. And the king on h1 is now hurting white, because you really want to play king f2 here, at least. Put the king on f3. But you need a slightly awkward move first to defend the bishop. No, you're right. Magnus, just because the position is boring, usually doesn't mean that he's happy with the draw.
Yeah. And by the way, Vishy and Hikaru going down exactly the same line. Currently, bishop takes d5 is on the board, but this is the game to watch for now because there's more developments. Rook f to e1. And let me tell you, Yana, rook e4, black has ideas like b5 and a5. I think it's still a draw. I think Bassem should be able to make it, but I'm getting a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah. There's so little material left, though. If white just goes king g1, king f2, b5, a5, you go a3. If b4 happens, you take everything.
But can we put some moves on the board? I mean, let's see if we could forecast. So rook e4. Now I'm making these moves, not Magnus, at least not yet. King g1, rook e8, king f2.
Oh, am I going to run into d4 already, or it's not?
Trying, but it doesn't work just yet. Maybe I can start with a move like h5. No, already I'm worse. Wow. Rook a d1, I guess, and then the d5 pawn is a weakness. Like this is what black has to be careful about. Yeah, maybe d4, the nuclear option, should be preferred. So cd, I guess.
CD, rook e3 is nothing. Yeah, rook e3, d4, rook e1, king f3 next. So black can only enjoy that pin.
Okay, so it's a draw. Magnus has played rook a c8 in the meantime, which is a very typical Magnus move because I feel like rook e4 is an instinct for a lot of players. Just put the rook on that weak square. Magnus always tries to maintain a little bit more spice in the position, tries to keep things open-ended. What do you make of this move?
I think he's eyeing that c2 square. He's thinking about ideas to give a pawn with d4, exchange a bunch of things, and then put the rook on c2. Because the other entry square, e2, is well covered, and the king can get there. But that c2 square, I'm not sure if it does anything. Something like, I don't know, king g1, d4, bishop d4, bishop d4, cd4, rook e1, king f8, and white is in time with rook e2. But I'm sure such ideas are on his mind.
Yeah, I definitely would play king g1 if I'm Bassem. I mean, I would try to get rid of this problem of the back rank.
Yeah.
The back rank issues that white is faced with. So, yeah, king g1, rook e4. Again, king f2. One way or the other, this game should end in a draw. I think the only way one side wins is if either Magnus overpresses or Bassem commits a serious inaccuracy. The other game has reached a different endgame. Let's take a look at our two-board view. Yeah, how is that possible?
How did that happen?
Ah, very interesting.
I chose a different Zwischenzug. Bishop c5. No,
bishop c5 here was played. Bishop f6 was Magnus's choice. Instead, Hikaru goes bishop c5. Queen d3 takes. And a different fascinating endgame has been reached.
Looks fairly equal as well.
Rook a d1 and rook fe1. How would you handle this with white?
I don't know. You tell me. This looks like a Scottish four knights. I thought you're one of the world's leading expert in these endgames.
Only the Belgrade Gambit. I never recapture the pawn on d4.
Fair enough. I don't know. Is there much to do? Like put a rook on e1, bring the king. If rook b8, you go b3, and stay there. No, it looks like it's very equal. Yeah.
What about c3? Is that asking for trouble? King g1 by Vishy. Yeah, that's a nice move.
Yeah. I guess c3 also keeps it level. No, normally there's always enough mutual weaknesses. You throw in some rook b8. I don't see. Or dc, bc, rook b8. I don't really see how either side can unbalance this.
No. There's this open file. Eventually, we're going to see some rooks on that file, and then one thing will lead to another. I think the peace negotiations have started. Let's go to the other board. I think that in terms of, okay, who's got more winning chances? The other board at least features the bishops on the board. You get a little bit more intrigue. I think this one's heading toward a draw. I'll keep an eye on it. But Bassem has played the move g3, which is kind of in line with what we thought he would do.
He wants to go king g2, king f3, go to f3 directly. Save a tempo. Also very fine.
King f8. And is Magnus trying to wait for king g2 and then setting a trap, trying to go d4? Yes, he is.
Yep. But
so maybe
if white goes rook a d1, what's he doing? Still d4 probably.
Oh,
yeah, that's what he wants. That's why he went king f8.
Magnus. You called it, Jan, immediately when he put his rook on c8. This is such a beautiful idea. Bishop takes d4. Boom, 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 boom. And this is a nightmare for white because you've got a rook. Yeah. You've got like a bone in your throat, and this is a...
Yeah, now the king
Magnus would probably win an endgame like this.
Yeah.
Piece activity more important than pawn count in rook endgames. This is a great illustration.
Okay, so, I mean, has to be a bit careful. And this g3 looked nice, but it has its drawbacks. He played rook 81. What does it do after d4? Maybe cd. Then rook c2. No.
But this is getting thorny. And apparently, instead, the best move was to play king g2 and allow d4 and then to take it with the pawn and get the king to f3. Because one of the problems is that when black gets the rook to c2, your king is cut off on the first rank. So that makes things even worse. I think Magnus is going to go d4. I mean, you don't go rook c8 and king f8 and then don't play it. He's done it. Look at the man go.
That's his point. He did manage to spice it up a bit. When you said let's go to the other board, I thought board was spelled B-O-R-E-D, but now there is some excitement here.
Oh my gosh, they're going down this line, and it's still a draw, but now Bassem has to suddenly be very careful, and the worst thing is that you were not expecting to be in a situation where you have to be careful. Maybe you can just push the d-pawn and do anything to get this rook off your back.
How far does it go? d5, rook b2, d6, then we have to go rook d2, and then do you have time to activate?
No, a5. No, Bassem's not going to go for this. I understand the engine shows equal. Maybe here.
King e8, you go back.
King e8, I go back. But I guess f or g6 can be tried.
Yeah, then I guess a4 and white is just in time to stabilize.
Yeah, actually it's happening. d5 on the board, d6 on the board. Great job by Bassem, just staying calm. And so far finding all the best moves. a5 is on the board. And now rook d7. That's the key move. It's the only move. And Magnus immediately responds with f5. Okay.
What's his next move? If white goes whatever, a4, he wants h5. Clear that 7th rank, or what's it?
He seems very confident. He seems like a man of the plan. Rook
A4
d4.
played. Yeah.
One important detail is that rook d4 doesn't really threaten rook takes a4 because white has rook to b7 there.
Uh-huh.
And then you're
There's
threatening rook
h5.
b8 check.
Yeah. So the pawn balance is not disturbed because the rook would have to go back. So Magnus starts with h5. I guess with white, you play h4.
Yeah. You're not really in Zugzwang. You can always go king g1 when you need to.
He goes king g1 directly, also fine. Let's see if Magnus can find one more question in this endgame. But yeah, the key line is the one you mentioned. Whenever rook d4 is played, white can just pass with, let's say, king f2, and rook takes a4, rook to b7, and there's no keeping the b pawn.
It's impressive that Magnus got this far, that he actually managed to create some intrigue in this endgame. I'm also looking at the other board is just nothing interesting happened at all. They're trading off all the pawns. That one should end peacefully pretty soon. So both games are actually in single rook endgames, in a single rook ending now.
So can I try something like, let's say, rook d4, king f2, takes a4, rook b7, and king e8? Is there any hope there?
Sorry, so rook d4, king f2, and now what?
Take the pawn on a4,
7.
rook b7, king to e8, because we gotta parry the threat of rook b8 and d7, and king d7. Okay, it's too drawish, right? Just rook b7 or rook a6, yeah.
Yeah.
Not enough to work with.
Still.
Yeah.
No, this is a draw.
What to do?
King e8 immediately actually maybe is a try, but you could also lose the game if you fly too close to the sun like that.
Rook e7, king d8. Oh yeah, then I'd be scared to lose this. Like white takes g7, goes rook g5, but could become a race at least. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean king e8. I actually think I get that it's like bad. I mean rook takes g7, rook takes d6, but I would also be scared. Yeah, rook d4, rook takes a4, and these pawns go really fast. Black's king is also closer to white's potential pass pawns. So imagine if you get something like this, Jan. Like, how do you? I never know how to evaluate positions like these where you've got like 3 pawns against 2 pawns. I always seem to lose. I always on the losing side of these pawn races.
Both sides are lost. Yeah, exactly.
Both sides are lost.
The enemy pawns are much faster.
Instead, he went g6. Bassem checks and goes d7, actually trying to force the action.
Yeah. What does he do after king e7? Just rook b8, yeah? Rook d6, he can go d8.
Yeah.
No. Black is just not better. Well defended by Bassem, actually. Taught us a lesson about activity in rook endgames.
Something tells me Magnus is still looking, still searching. That those red lights are still flashing in his brain, but it just might not be enough to do here. As we look at the 2-board view on the left side, we see weird position. It looks a little scary for white, but it is still a draw.
Nah, it's not. Yeah.
BC, rook c5. Yeah.
Rook c2, king f3, b2, but that pawn is not going anywhere by himself. White can just push his kingside.
Okay, we'll get to draw. I mean, I think that's a good lesson. The players will choose the position that's easiest for them to play, not necessarily the one that's most entertaining for the fans.
Such cynics.
Okay, Hikaru takes on c2 with the rook, king f3, b2. The only thing that white should avoid there is a move like rook to b3, which allows black to deflect the rook with
c3.
check, rook c3 check.
I've blundered that plenty.
It's easy to miss. Okay, rook d6.
Yep.
Wait a second. Now, on Magnus's board, am I crazy for saying that I don't actually see a way for white to draw that by force?
No, rook b8, rook d7, rook b6, rook d4. Yeah, and that position should be a draw, but white emerges a pawn down, which I guess is not a dream.
Yeah, I mean, you get this position, which is definitely a draw. I mean, but I wouldn't feel confident here knowing what the drawing plan is. I mean, my instinct is to go king g2 and try to sneak around the edge like that, but check king h3, a4, and you have to do some calculation here. Probably king h4 is a draw here, but again, it seems like the margins get uncomfortably thin.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. Rook b8 played, it's on the board.
So if king h3, if I just go h4 and sit, like with my rook on a6.
He's given a check, has Bassem. I mean, trying to force this king back to the back rank.
He just wants to keep checking till the king goes to h6.
And, and then h4.
Set up shop with h4 and rook on a7 and say, what do you do next?
That is very smart, and that's just that forces the draw because Magnus has no way to make progress, no way to get this king out of the cage, and no way to promote the a-pawn.
Yeah.
Well done.
Showing some rook endgame skills here, Bassem. Like, because a lesser player, I would just lose this kind of stuff to Magnus. I understand the drawing margin is never overstepped, but it's also so easy to panic when he does his little waiting move thing there with g6, h5. And Bassem just kept his cool all the way.
Yeah, it's. I've never played Magnus in an over-the-board classical game, but I've had the honor to face him many times in Blitz and Bullet, and trust me, you still feel it. You feel like you're always losing. Even when you know rationally a position is equal or you're in better, you feel like he's pressing you, and it's just this intangible aspect that makes it so hard to play people like Magnus and Hikaru. They just, they make you question your sanity, and they make you think you're losing when you're up a piece. It's the psychological effect really is that powerful. Trust me, I've played him enough to know that. I'm telling the chat, the fans.
You're one of the few people who can play them on even footing. No, if the clock is low enough, you can hang with these guys. So they still, even a bullet, they're in your head, or there is fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have that from the streets style that can make them uncomfortable, but strictly 3 minutes or under, and no increment to start the game. That's my stipulation.
Even there, these guys are terrible, so that is very impressive.
I appreciate it. There it is. We have a repetition happening right now.
And Magnus has seen enough, yeah. It looks scary for white, but there's just absolutely nothing he can do with this king boxed in. The one thing not to blunder here is after a2 to play, I don't know, king e2 or rook a6 and allow rook h1. But that doesn't happen at this level. So there we'll just call it a day. After a2, white plays king g2, and there's nothing to do.
Okay, and a repetition. That was a much more informal process than we're used to in the tournament like the candidates when a repetition is claimed, but here it is clear that there's nothing left to do. We have a peaceful result, and on the other board, that is soon to follow. Let's listen in for a bit to the discussion.
Magnus, chatty as always. You chose that position, Magnus. Oh, the other board is some fake excitement with f6. The h-pawn is running.
Ooh, h6, and this is still just a draw. Of course, anything can happen, but not really. Those truisms are just not true in high-level chess. It's, we saw the Magnus Ferrugia final where crazy stuff actually went down. The 1 in a million case actually happened, but most of the time these players are too good to let crazy things happen. We have total liquidation. Hikaru's up a pawn, but it doesn't matter. Rook b7, rook
nothing
f7.
Can happen. Handshake is coming here as well.
King e6.
Come on, Vishy. King e6. Checkmate him.
He's going to hold the line instead. Boo. What a lack of fighting spirit to not play rook versus rook for 50 moves.
Oh, he just explained he tried it in his defense. But
Oh, maybe he is.
Spotted the defense.
There it is. Bear kings on the board. I think that's a draw, but I'm not sure what the latest status is on this position. Stockfish 16 hasn't been involved yet.
I'm surprised Hikaru just went for rook d7. I thought with rook versus rook, you can still try to flag.
I mean, you go back to c5, I take.
But king g7. Yeah, but maybe f5 and rook e1 and f5 could be better for
And
white.
knight to g3 or something.
Yeah, no, that probably is good for white.
But this position's lifeless, right?
I think it's pretty lifeless. I mean, that happened in their game too.
You chose it.
D5, and I think it just also just was very simple.
Okay.
If rook d1 d5 anyway. I mean, I think it might just be completely flat. Because black doesn't have an option. I mean, I thought about queen b8, but it can't be right. I mean, because you're not doing anything over here, so it's probably just very flat position. That's my guess. I don't know
what attracted him into this position because he clinched it, right?
No. I mean, probably he probably thought white's better. He probably didn't realize there's just d5, bishop c5 that just kills it. I mean, I think because bishop f3 should be right.
Well, in their defense, Hikaru and Vishy did not vote for that position. It was Bassem and Magnus.
That's right. No, they're the good guys.
Sure.
A little unfortunate.
C'est la vie.
All right. So I think Vishy will actually join us in a minute. In the meantime, the voting should now be open chat for which position they play in round number 3. And frankly, we have to do better than last round. So here we are. Ayechin versus Casablanca, Buenos Aires, 1927. Spassky Fischer, 1972. Or Karpov Kasparov in 1985. And it looks like we are being joined by the legend Vishy Anand is here. Vishy, can you hear us?
Yes. Booming, I can say, but anyway.
Apologies. How are things over there? That position wasn't so exciting in the last round. What's going on?
At least it didn't make any sense to me. I didn't see a plan. I don't know why position B was in there. C, I picked C.
I can tell you the voting. You and Hikaru voted for A and C, but Magnus and Amin, they went with B.
Yeah, I know. We figured it out in the room. I mean, Magnus can take B because it's fine for black, but I didn't understand why Amin went for it. I thought C was very pleasant for white. I picked C because I thought my next move is king b1, and then I can start thinking after that. But I didn't quite see what to do here. I mean, I was a bit embarrassed if bishop f3 d5, but Hikaru said that anyway he would play d5 anyway, and I didn't see much there. It's not a very exciting position for black. Sorry, for white.
He had pre-moved it. Pre-moved d5.
Yes, probably that's what he did.
Did you see the positions for next round, which the chat can vote on? Do you want to hinge them any particular direction?
Oh, isn't this cheating, or have the other players seen it? No, I can't see them.
Okay, then it's probably we shouldn't let you know, but chat knows them, and you guys can vote on an exciting position. So Vishy, tell us a bit about this tournament. How did it come to life? How does it feel to play in Morocco? How does it feel to play chess at all? What's going on?
No, everything is fine except my moves in the first game. But otherwise, everything is good. Morocco is nice. Nothing to complain. Everything is awesome except that. I simply miscalculated something. I had seen queen g6, which is a pity because I'd even seen the complete line, which is bishop f4, knight takes c4, knight takes c4, and I had seen bishop c5. But then I don't know what possessed me, and I changed my mind. And then I realized that I had missed a simple move, rook e1 somewhere, simply trapping my queen instead of giving me some. I mean, I think after d6 he goes bishop h4, queen e2, rook e1, and it's game over on the spot. So just a very annoying lapse.
Yeah.
So you're talking about the position after knight knight a3, where you should go ed, or which one are we talking about? Sorry, we're slow.
No, knight a5. Basically, the game.
Knight
D
a5,
e5.
knight a4, knight e6.
Yeah. And d e5, queen
That
g6.
queen g6.
This is
right.
Okay,
Put
so
on the board, so knight a3, knight a5, queen a4, knight e6.
So you were saying, Vishy, instead of knight ec6, or instead of knight a5, ed4?
No, knight e6, de, and then queen g6.
Yeah, I did not consider ed4 very seriously. Yeah, I must say, I didn't take it very seriously. But queen g6 here, bishop f4, and knight c4, and bishop c5 is important. And then somehow I thought that I might not be equal here, and I changed my mind. But in fact, this is quite equal. I can just play b6. I have the e6 square for my queen, so some nice things there.
Yeah, it looks like a double-edged position, maybe knight e3, but then maybe trade.
Take, and b6, and once again, same thing. For me, it's very important to play b6, bishop e7. I think the key was after bishop c5, bishop e3, I have to play bishop e7. But that's not very difficult, so I should have been able to. I should have gone for this rather.
I'm already trying to find some cheap tactics here with b5. Can't help myself, but it doesn't work.
Yeah. Well, rook b8 would be in style of Kieseritsky, but not very good, I'm afraid.
Trigorin and Steinitz
would go rook b8. No cheapos.
He'd go like f6, king f7.
Ha! All right, rook d, queen c5, rook d5, and then it was already tough, if we can believe our computers, which is cute. How do you feel about the process in general? Is it very tough to be dropped into like an unfamiliar position, or it depends on the position?
Yes, I mean, to be honest, when Mr. Senhaji wrote to me months back, must have been November or something, or October, and I liked the idea, but I hadn't given it a lot of thought of what kind of format it'd be. It just seemed like something fun. At least in the first game, I found this position in a rapid game to be hard to get a grip on. And 2 minutes is very little to think of anything. So you kind of feel you're being dropped into the deep end every time. But anyway, let's see if it gets better.
Okay.
I think we had a bit more time, maybe a half an hour game. You could actually, well, you just avoid these blunders which finish the game with the 3 moves, right?
Vishy, I had one more question about just your experience coming back to chess. I mean, you still play from time to time. You demonstrate an incredibly high level. What is it like to play with the frequency that you play? And how has your sort of relationship to chess and over-the-board chess changed in the last few years?
I think I'm in the stage where I'm switching on and off. I switch off for many months. And then I think both of you will understand that you need to switch on. You need some time to build up to it. And then you can still, some muscle memory kicks in. But that's basically how it is. Like, I remember in the Bundesliga weekend, I just went, I had like 2 days to refresh things, but it was still fine. I recently played a blitz in Austria where I had no idea who my opponent was in every round. There was not enough time to figure that out. So I just sat and played without even thinking. And that was fine, but that was blitz. And now this, but we'll see. I would like to play more, but at the same time, I understand that's complicated as well because my life is pointing in a different direction.
Did you see Magnus joined the Bundesliga? He joined the St. Pauli team from Hamburg, so the competition is heating up there as well. Baden-Baden will need you to show up there at least.
Yes, I noticed that he had started to play Bundesliga. Yeah, that'll be fun. I mean, Hamburg hasn't played much of a role till now, but apologies. But I think in the future they might play more. They'll obviously be a. But I mean,
it's a
even
different Hamburg team.
Düsseldorf is a nice new team. Sorry?
It's a different Hamburg team, not Hamburger Schachclub St. Pauli. So Hamburg now has 2 teams.
Okay.
They have
That's
some
right.
money
Okay.
there. Yeah. Anyway, we won't take up much more of your time. Thank you so much for joining, Vishy, and best of luck in the next round.
Good
luck. Sure, thanks.
All right. Yeah, Vishy mentioned they could play with 30 minutes with these fresh positions, which could make some sense because we got 45 minutes to fill after every round anyway. No, might as well give them to the players.
Yeah, I mean, I think that extra time would help them in the initial stages, particularly if you have a spicier position. And hopefully you'll get a spicier position in this third round. I'm looking at the choices, and yeah, I mean, definitely some meat on the bone. Just saying, you're not allowed to choose the left position. My demand. No, just kidding. You can vote for whichever position you want to see, but that looks like an Alekhine almost. In position 2 and position 3, Karpov Kasparov. Yummy.
Chad, you can vote on Twitch or on YouTube. The voting ends in roughly 7 minutes. So without influencing it too much, we can give some brief thoughts. The first one is from the 1927 match where they played Queen's Gambit, and it felt like every game. And the death of chess was proclaimed already in 1927 because it was too dry. So I'm surprised to have one of those very dry positions in here. 2 is a big one. 2 is Spassky Fischer, the Reykjavik match. One of the later games where Fischer indeed played the Ayechin. And Spassky played a somewhat timid line with his knight bd2 and h3. That was this crazy game where Fischer grabbed the a-pawn and Spassky tried to attack him. Later they got some weird endgame where Spassky was a bishop up, Fischer had running pawns. That's a very famous game, but that could be fun. And 3, I don't know this game, but it also looks like a sharp position, no? Like some slightly non-standard Sicilian.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time determining how that position was reached.
Yeah,
and the side to move. The side to move really determines a lot there. It's all about tempo for tempo play, but always love to see an Alekhine appearance. I think it's a better opening than people give it credit for. I've been playing it a lot in Blitz and Bullet with quite a bit of success. It's a cagey, annoying opening to deal with, and Bobby Fischer was onto something.
I don't know. I checked these games by the experts like Bortnik and you. They're crushing in Blitz with the Alekhine. If you switch on your engine, it's not a big fan, but that doesn't always tell the whole story over the board.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like engine frowns upon it. In classical chess, it doesn't hold up as well, but in Blitz, it is the perfect weapon. And of course, we will get Hikaru versus Magnus in the next round. I think this is what everybody signed up for. Give me any position. I just want to see Hikaru versus Magnus.
Yeah. The winner will join us, hopefully, after next round. So the voting should still be open. Give us an exciting position. We'll be on a quick break and then come back with the starting position of next round. See you guys then.
Students, did you know that you can get a discount on any chess.com premium membership? If you're enrolled in a college, university, or high school in a participating country, you can get 50% off any yearly or monthly premium plan, diamond, platinum, or gold. That's unlimited game review, unlimited puzzles, unlimited bots, unlimited lessons, and no ads. All at 50% off. Go to chess.com/students and get your discount today.
Hi. Welcome to my humble abode. Follow me. So we're here, we have the kitchen, clean as usual.
What's in the frame?
Yes, this is basically a gift from that I got for Christmas last year. It's simply cut out of the table when I was top of the Fantasy Premier League worldwide rankings in the good old days.
What's it like this year?
No, it's a little bit worse, but we'll get back, I'm sure. So don't look at the TV, that shouldn't be there, it should be up on the wall. We haven't fixed that yet.
It's not $1,000 chess then?
This board was bought at the local billiards shop because I realized at some point that I didn't actually have a chessboard. So I just needed to get one quickly, and it has. And so this is the board that I've been using for the last couple of years. Also, the clock isn't very good.
Can you show us your fridge?
Yes, sure. I am, of course, solely responsible for everything that's in here. It's a bit of everything. At the moment, it's been stripped a little bit. Like a couple of weeks ago, it was a lot fuller. And here there's a small freezer as well with some different goodies.
What do you usually eat when you're playing long tournaments?
You know, it's not that easy to eat a lot in between games, but sometimes I'll order something that I can eat quickly. Especially if I'm home alone, then I'll order something that I can eat quickly, like Thai or Chinese or something along that sort, and then I'll just use the 15 minutes in between games to eat as much as possible to get some energy.
Nice. So do you enjoy cooking?
No, but I enjoy helping with cooking. I can do the easy stuff like cutting the vegetables and then washing up afterwards. I'm pretty good at washing up, doing the dishes. That's something I'm good at. So that's what I'll do most of the time. So yeah, here's the bathroom where everything is clean. Blah blah blah. There was supposed to be somebody here actually yesterday to set up everything, but once again here everything's a bit provisional.
Nice view though.
Yeah, it's a decent view. Not the best in this weather, obviously. But you got this roll up. Funnily, this book is still here in the window. It's one of Gary's books, not in his predecessors actually, but on himself. What happened was that when I was playing the St. Louis tournament online, the Fish Random one where Gary was playing, we had to have a secondary camera to show the rest of the room. And so I had my phone here filming. I needed it to be a bit higher, so my phone was standing here and just filming me while I was playing over here. And I thought it would be a bit of a funny prop to use the Gary book against Gary, but I don't think he was paying attention to that. Also, there's it can be a little bit dark in here, and the desk is a little bit too small. So there's some work to be done here, but I think. For the tour, the tournaments where I'll be playing from home, everything will be fine. But so far, it's a bit provisional.
The Casablanca chess tournament features one of the more unique formats of any event on the chess calendar. 4 of the world's top players representing 4 different continents will compete in a double round robin with rapid time controls. The twist? Each round, players will begin with a starting position selected from a historically significant game. The double round robin format ensures each player will play every other player twice, for a total of 6 games. For 4 of these games, games 1, 2, 4, and 5, a position will be chosen from a pool of 18 positions just before each round. The remaining 2 positions, games 3 and 6, will be determined by the audience through an online poll. Each game will begin from an equal position with white to play, and each position has been chosen from between moves 6 and 15 of the historical game. No positions were selected from matches that the players have played in. The player with the best overall performance will be crowned the winner of the inaugural Casablanca chess tournament.
Welcome back, everybody. Round number 3 of the Casablanca Chess Tournament 2024. We have the big one coming up. Magnus versus Hikaru Nakamura. You might have heard of these people. Tanya, what game will they play? Who won?
Well, it looks like Karpov versus Kasparov got the most votes. 43% of you voted for the position on the right. And I'm happy with that vote. I would have respected even position number 1, even though I kind of forbid you to vote for it. But no, we never influence any of the choices, right? Right?
Never. Still, I'm very sad we didn't get position number 2, the Ayechin. But in fairness, position number 3 does look like fun as well. Which one was the 1985 match? Was that the one that lasted forever and ended with Karpov leading 5-3 because everybody was tired?
Yeah, I always get these confused. I just looked it up. 1985, Kasparov won. No, that was the one where Kasparov, I think, won the last game with Black in that Najdorf.
Ah, right. The famous Rook E7, Rook A8 game.
That's right. And then F5, yes.
Yeah, these guys played each other a bit. I struggle reconstructing how that position number 3 could occur. I'm very curious about the score sheet, actually. How do you get there with the knight on G8?
Yeah, I mean, and obviously the players get the score sheet and they play the moves out, which gives them data about the current position. Knowing what moves were played does help you put things in perspective. Sometimes it helps you understand the player's ideas, and that informs your perception of the position. But obviously, the real draw here is that we will have Magnus versus Hikaru in our third and final game of the day, which is sure to generate a lot of excitement. I'm excited.
Yeah, the winner will join us to explain what went down. It sounds so far people are enjoying the format. We can see some scenery from Casablanca there on our little screen. It does look like a very cool venue. Who are these people debating?
VIPs. And it's good to see a lot of spectators in the playing hall. I mean, Over the Board Chess is alive and well and has a big following across the world. As we get ready to start our final game of the day, a time control, 15 minutes with a 10-second increment. Hikaru and Magnus have mostly faced each other in blitz time controls in the last few years, but they've also played a good amount of rapid. And, there's a lot of pride that exists between the both of them. And let me tell you, they're going to bring their A game to the table. It's a fun event. The players are in a good mood. The spirits are high, but make no mistake, this game in particular, both of them really want to win it and make a statement to end the day.
And these top guys, whenever they sit down at the board, no matter the format, there's so much pride involved. They will both take this very, very seriously. And their history is complicated. No, Magnus used to dominate against Hikaru in classical chess. At some point, it was up to 11 wins, no losses. But recently, in these rapid and especially blitz formats, it's gotten much, much closer. I recall their first final of the Champions Chess Tour, where it went to the wire and Hikaru kept coming back. And I think especially in speed chess and in bullet, you're a bigger expert there. Hikaru had Magnus' number a couple of times. Now, who's the best bullet player nowadays? What's going on there?
Well, in 1+0, it's still Hikaru, without question. Magnus is up and down. Magnus is a little bit more inconsistent. At his best, I think Magnus can compete with Hikaru in 1+0. But Hikaru is the more consistent, better player in bullet. And in 3+0, I think it's very close. 3+1, 5+1. I mean, they play their share of SEC matches, and basically it's always incredibly close between Hikaru and Magnus in like blitz time controls, which as it should be. With they're very, very evenly matched in shorter time controls, and it makes for a lot of excitement.
Yes, so in general, is it fair to say the more time you add, the better for Magnus between these two?
Yes, I think that's fair. I was impressed that Hikaru kind of turned the tables on Magnus in the COVID era during those online rapid events. Because, and Hikaru has talked about this, how, his classical record against Magnus, it took a lot to overcome that. And, what people feel when they face Hikaru feels when he faces Magnus. So there's like a hierarchy, and he managed to turn the tables and put his classical record in the rearview mirror. And ever since then, they've gone kind of back and forth, with each of them having their moments. It's been great, honestly.
What's Hikaru's secret? He's streaming a lot, and still he seems to be improving at chess as he gets older, which is not what you would normally expect. So, I mean, I'm sure he's talked about this plenty, but it's so impressive to watch from a distance. And in every format, even in classical, he came close to winning the candidates again, won 5 games there. How does he do it?
And yeah, I mean, what does he eat for breakfast? What brand of Wheaties does he get? But definitely in the candidates, I thought his performance was very impressive. Forget about the last game, just being in the running and coming back from a slow start while winning the title Tuesday. It's like, I have no idea what makes him tick, but obviously there's exactly 2 people on the planet like Magnus and Hikaru, and that's Magnus and Hikaru.
That does sound like accurate analysis. Yeah, I can't wait for the game. Magnus, he's still been dominant. He doesn't play that much classical chess anymore, but of course he's still winning more than his fair share of online events or wherever he showed up. He did lose that last final to Ali Reza, so probably that bothered him a bit, and he'll be very eager, even though this is a fun event, but to actually win it.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, Magnus is hungry, and I just want to say, like, the whole debate about who's better and who's the GOAT in this time control, and you can just slice and dice endlessly and just say, well, Magnus won this match and Hikaru won that match. But I just prefer to say, listen, they're very evenly matched in shorter time controls. They're both incredible at chess in their own way, and we can just appreciate that. It's not really productive to always try to choose the superior player. That's what makes these rivalries fun, is that they go back and forth, and both players are capable of packing a punch. So we'll see.
What a cop-out.
The arrow swings this time.
What's your opinion on Jordan versus LeBron? Like,
That's
both great players?
I have to go with Jordan, with no question in my mind at all. No disrespect to you, LeBron. And I have to go with Steph Curry, a third option, if possible. He's my guy.
Jordan is the correct answer. But we all love Steph.
Oh, that's
Who's
adorable.
That?
I think that's a kid making chess moves.
Once again, that sounds like accurate analysis. Careful with that rook.
I wonder whose kid that is. Is that just a kid that was selected?
I do not know.
Do any of the players have kids? Vishy has a kid, I think.
Vishy has a kid. I don't know about Magnus Hikaru. I do not think so. There we see my old friend Laurent Fressinet on site, using his connections to Moroccan chess to be the expert commentator, advisor, jack of all trades. Good to see Laurent in action. Very handsome man.
Indeed. An illustrious chess career as a player, analyst, commentator, jack of all trades.
Yeah. Sticking around. I spent a lot of time with Laurent in some remote Thailand villages working on these Magnus matches. So we go way back, but he's made it all the way to Morocco while we're waiting for Carlsen and Nakamura to emerge at the board. Do the players, they probably have like devices where they can find out the results of the voting. Shouldn't they use this time to check that position a bit? Or is that allowed?
Yeah,
Not
I mean,
allowed.
ooh, that would be interesting, kind of like a Steinis Chigorin situation there. And we came across this in the Fisher random tournaments where the players actually were encouraged to discuss the starting position. Just to mitigate the effect of just Fisher random.
Yeah, but here would seem common sense, no? I mean, while they're on break, they can get out their phones, check what position won, and see what the computer has to say about that position. Let's see if we can put it up on the board. If we can reconstruct it.
Yeah, I can make the
we should
moves.
get there. There we are. Yeah.
Let me pull up the actual game score. So here's how the position was reached. It was e4 c5. Oh, never mind. Okay, here was the position. Wow, I played e4 and this happened. We'll get a chance to see it when the players actually execute the move. So let's jump into this position. I think it's white to move.
White to move, yeah. Bishop e6 was the last black move.
Okay.
The pawn on h4 is under attack. That I can see. We could go knight d5, threatening bishop b6.
Ooh.
What else is there?
Yeah, knight d5 looks pretty juicy. At least first impression would indicate that. Bishop takes d5, queen takes d5. Maybe black goes knight f6 there, tries to sack the b7 pawn and castle quickly.
You know what I would do? No, it doesn't work. I was going to say knight d5, queen a5 check, but then b4 wins, so or it's good to go to that. No, so knight d5 looks like black has to take.
What else can be tried? I mean, even queen d2, I would probably in a bullet game. I would play, or maybe queen e2, so you don't give up the g4 pawn. Try to castle quickly, and then just go g5 and checkmate black on the king side. But you could get checkmated yourself. Black sacks in exchange on c3.
So you wouldn't be afraid of, let's say, queen e2, bishop takes h4, long castles, some slow move, bishop e7 back. Feels quite scary.
Ooh, f4. It's go time.
Yeah, it looks very scary with the knight on g8.
Yeah, queen e2, rook c8 is a major headache, at least for me. Because then it's like, where are you castling? And if you go rook d1, then you can't castle at all.
So maybe queen d2 just to keep an eye on c3.
Yeah, because bishop takes g4, there's knight d5. I mean, I guess I can make moves on the board, but queen d2.
Yeah.
Okay, I would ignore the eval bar, and this is even the computer has a hard time evaluating these types of positions. So this is apparently actually not that good for white, which is amazing to me. Maybe rook c8 or something, and black is fine. How greedy.
Oof.
What a greedy little you-know-what this computer is. Bishop b6, queen d7, and we're chilling. Okay, so that's one option. And of course, knight d5, I think, is that's the safer move, but it's definitely not the interesting move.
Also, after knight d5, it turns out black doesn't have to take. He can actually go rook c8 just to cover the c7 square, and we take it from there.
Yeah, and then maybe c3.
Yeah, and then it's time for great, maybe. Then bishop h4.
Oh, just immediately in this position.
Yeah.
Draw?
I like
for a dry on.
Tempting. Maybe that's what's going to happen.
Would you like to sacrifice a piece? No. Okay, draw.
That's too much. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that could happen.
We found a draw.
Good.
A draw has been cited. What about, a third type of move? So g5 doesn't work here, but I'm trying to come up with something creative. I'm asking WSD. What would Shirov do? What would
queen e2?
Queen e2, yeah. Even queen f3, a case could be made for a move like that. Actually, what do you think about queen f3? Is that really stupid? It's probably really stupid. Anyways, we're about to get the games underway, so let's flip back to the starting position. And let's observe the moves being played.
I mean, with the white pieces versus Anand and Magnus Carlsen with the white pieces against... Oh no, Magnus with the black pieces against Hikaru.
Yeah. I mean, we love Vishy, we love Bassem, but we are going to focus on this game. We know that that's what you guys want to see. That's what we want to see, I think.
We're being told they don't know the positions yet, or do they?
Endless suspense. Maybe they did some research, and we don't want any monkey business on the side going on, do we?
Never.
We'd have to do the procedure. Okay. Score sheets being put out. Those have the moves. All right, let's... Yes. Handshake. Applause. Clap. Ceremonial move. Let's get this show on the road, folks.
E4. Hikaru's happy already.
Hikaru's like, that's all I need. Give me one E4, or give me death. There it is.
Another E4.
I was thinking, is Bassem going to retract that? But I'm pretty sure he has to play it.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I'm just adjusting the pawn.
Yeah, let me go knight f3, g3.
Yep. that is vintage Bassem. E4, d3, g3. Make everything a King's Indian attack, and he's incredible at those positions.
Yeah. I've seen him grind those out in the German Bundesliga.
Oh, yeah. That and the Briar were the black pieces.
Yeah. Magnus, studying the score sheet, looks deeply unimpressed as usual.
Okay, moves are coming in. Let's go to the board so that we can follow this.
I'm actually curious. How did they get this? I was never one of those Scheveningens without knight on f6. Probably some
it's the
G4
second one
happen.
today.
Yeah, g4 is there.
Okay.
Always mysterious to me, this g4 with knight still on g8, but computers like it in every position. So they were onto something, Karpov and Kasparov. Knights are exchanged, and now e5, queen back to d1 to cover g4, and we should have our position. Actually, that makes queen d2 less attractive, no? Because you just played queen d1, then after bishop e6, you probably don't want to play queen d2.
And that's exactly what I was saying about the data, right? If you didn't know this, queen d2 actually was a candidate move, and now I don't think any of them are taking queen d2 seriously. Maybe queen e2, but knowing the moves that were played makes you look at the position differently.
For sure. Let's just hope it's not knight d5, rook c8, c3, bishop h4, bishop b6, queen g5, bishop e3, draw, which is a very, very logical sequence of moves, actually.
That's the thing. We've actually called a lot of the sequences thus far, just because it's, as you said, it's logical and it's plausible that this happens. And I'm curious how long the players spend on the first move, because in a over the board classical game, like at the candidates, if this position happened, again, you could see 15-20 minutes being spent. Here, it's a rapid game. You want to keep some time on your clock.
I think they have different approaches, or I could be wrong, but in general, Magnus, I think he likes to spend a couple minutes in the early middle game when he's out of book, which is probably the case here. While Hikaru likes to put the pressure on. Hikaru goes knight d5 very, very quickly. Wouldn't be surprised if Magnus takes his time already.
Yeah, but I can also see bishop takes d5. At least that would be my automatic reaction. Rook c8 is such a classy move, just saying, no, this knight is not the end of the world.
Those are the only two sensible moves, because bishop b6, knight c7 is a big threat. Mm-hmm. So there is a choice.
Can we talk about this bishop d5, queen d5, knight f6 idea? Would you take b7? Never mind. Rook c8 has been played.
Yeah, rook c8 played.
Rook c8 has been played by... Yep. Never mind.
Didn't take him very long either, so I was wrong. He would take his time. Maybe to his mind, it's just the only good move. Bishop d5, queen d5 looks ugly. So gotta play rook c8 and see what happens.
So knight e7 doesn't seem to make a lot of sense because you're helping black develop. Yeah. c3 played.
c3 played.
Jan.
Opens the door. Bishop h4,
the door
bishop
is
b6.
open.
Queen g5.
The door has been opened.
Queen g5.
Uh-oh.
And it might also be best play. Can black actually deviate? What could he do? Like bishop
Knight
d5,
f6?
you probably still don't want. Knight f6, what's going on then?
Yeah, actually, knight f6, I'm pretty partial to.
Yeah, that looks all right.
Yeah, but just all right, because you're also walking into like g5, and you're walking into like knight takes f6. No, I mean, bishop takes h4 makes a lot of sense. And then, of course, Hikaru could try to play a quiet move like queen d2, but then you're much worse. He actually has played knight f6, though. It's just Magnus's credit. Keeping some life alive. I like it. Thank you.
Thank you, Magnus. Play. Now what does white do? My first instinct would be to take on e7, queen takes, and then bishop f3 to prepare g5. But it's a somewhat passive bishop, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, and then maybe I could even get away with, in some positions, d5. At least I would think about it.
Yeah, I was wondering. Yeah.
And then it gets very tactical. Very, very tactical. Yeah, we can dive in. Knight takes c7, queen takes c7, bishop f3. And
because if g5 directly, knight g4 is annoying, so I thought we should prepare it. Yeah, bishop f3.
And I'm not sold on d5 at all, by the way. I mean, there's other moves. There's bishop c4, but d5, yeah, I guess it just doesn't work. E takes d5, rook d8, there's c4. For starters, maybe even queen a4 check. Yeah, it's too early for something like this, but let's see what Hikaru decides, because he could also take on f6 and then play a move like queen to d2. And apparently they're still following the original game. This is actually what happened in Karpov-Kasparov.
Yeah, where knight takes e7 was indeed played. Maybe. Mm-hmm. We know Magnus is a chess history buff. Hikaru will probably tell you he's not, but he's probably also seen his fair share of Karpov-Kasparov games. Maybe they're just in book.
Yeah, they're still in theory. And in the game, I'll show the moves that knight e7, queen e7 was played, and then g5 was played, which led to a trade. And as you said, yeah, knight got to g4, and black was fine. On the better side of fine, actually. So let's see what happens. On the other board, also knight d5, rook c8.
Yep, Vishy took a moment to play rook c8, but he did come up with it as well. I pulled up the original game here. Let's see if they follow it. And yeah, Hikaru does play knight takes e7.
Mm-hmm.
Queen takes, I guess, is not forced, but king e7 looks a bit extreme.
I think I know some people who might take that move seriously. It reminds, of course, the famous example, Karpov-Kamsky, in terms of random king moves in the opening that are actually very strong. But yeah, queen e7. He's done it! King e7 on the board.
Oh!
Look at the man go. And g5 instantly. Hikaru take is like, yeah, I totally expected that.
Wow. What's going on now? This is a mess. G5, knight g4, bishop c1. What's the king doing on e7?
How about knight g4, king e2 to support the bishop? And at this point, I'm only half joking. Okay,
no bonk clouds. No bonk clouds allowed.
Okay, so knight g4. And what's going on? It's on the board.
I don't like this king e7 move. What are you doing, Magnus?
Yeah, just like... But what would be your move here with white? Like queen d2?
Bishop c1. Bishop c1.
Oh, bishop c1. Sorry.
Yeah. Keep those bishops.
Yeah, why not? And if I go Chipolito?
Yeah, no. Queen e2, I guess I can do.
Yeah, no bishop c4 because that drops the knight. And if I go h5 and dilly-dally...
Yeah, h5, f3, bishop c4,
resigns.
queen d2. It's trapped.
And if you play hg, which piece do you take with? Do you take with the bishop and go back to c1?
Do I have to take it all is another question. I can also play f3 maybe.
Rook takes h4. F3. Oh, no, it doesn't work. Bishop g5. Check. Okay, let's see what happens. Bishop c1 on the board. Good call.
What are you doing, Magnus? King e7.
There's no reason to dig yourself into that. I mean, now he has to be perfect, and if he is, hats off. But man, Magnus is a brave man for doing that. H takes g5 on the board. He has not blundered his queen. But f3, you see the blue arrow. Apparently the best move. Kick the knight away first. It makes sense. Makes sense.
And if the knight goes to f6, then maybe take with the bishop on g5, and then white can just start stabilizing with his pair of bishops.
Actually, I think that's a game changer. If Hikaru takes on g5 immediately, black plays f6, and white has to lose a tempo, and then you can go queen b6, and you're fine. If you push the knight away first, black's position honestly looks kind of awful there. Again, the king safety, it's going to be a problem for essentially as long as the queens stay on the board. I mean, you're probably still fine objectively, but this is not what you want to have in rapid against Hikaru. If he finds f3, and he will.
Even objectively, I'm not sure. Why wouldn't white be just better here? With the bishop's king in the center. Magnus playing with fire. But you gotta give him credit, even if we don't like this king e7 move. It feels like not only does he want to win, but he also does want things to be entertaining. Like he went for knight f6, not allowing this bishop h4, queen g5 draw, and now king takes e7. So he's bringing it, but this could easily backfire.
I think it's one of the good byproducts of the top players being a little bit more plugged into online chess. They understand that there's fans watching, people who could be doing other things on a Saturday morning. I actually don't know anything you should be doing on a Saturday morning. You should be watching chess.
You could sleep. Yeah.
You could sleep. That is an option. You could be having brunch, but watching some chess being played between Hikaru and Magnus is a good alternative, and I appreciate when they try to spice things up. But has he gone too far?
Absolutely. In the other game, by the way, Anand has chosen bishop takes h4, which might objectively be the best choice, but it invites this move repetition with bishop b6, queen g5, bishop e3.
It doesn't just, I think it invites it and makes it mandatory. It's like, you must attend this party. You are invited to it, and you may not turn this down. This is like your mom's birthday party. It's like, you got to go. Sorry.
It's not a voluntary party. Yeah, this might be over soon. So once again, as you mentioned, with these players being... Oh, bishop f3 played.
Whoa.
Similar idea. But
Hello.
less forcing. Because now the knight can stay on g4 with queen d7.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
What's that all about? Queen d7. Actually, queen d7 is a very easy move to miss. It's just one of those small moves. And it coordinates the rooks. What you doing, boy? Queen d7, bishop g5, f6.
That's gonna happen. Yeah, this looks much more harmonious for black already.
This looks losing for white, maybe? I don't know. Rook h5 and rook h8. I'm trying to find a powerful move here.
Yeah, rook h7 or rook h5. Some doubling. Looks very inviting.
Rook h7, rook h8, going after this pawn. The problem is that rook g1 always rook takes h4. Can I try h5?
Still rook h8, then rook g1 is your point, yeah?
Yeah.
Maybe you were right all along. Maybe rook h5 to stop h5.
But can black take? Take and go rook h1?
Oof.
And then does white have king to d2? Takes, and f3. And queen d7 has been played, by the way, in the meantime.
Yeah.
And now rook h4, maybe sacking a bishop. I mean, we're going down the rabbit hole. Let me go back to the live position, but this is not unlikely. I mean, do you have a move other than bishop takes g5 at this point? Rook g1 is technically possible.
Ah, yeah, rook g1 is there. What's going on then? Can we play
rook, and he's played it.
Uh-huh.
Knight h2. I was going to point this out. Oh, knight h2 is really powerful.
Looks
Why
very
is it so
tempting
powerful?
if it works.
It's powerful because after knight h2 takes f6, let's say the bishop drops back. Why is this so bad for white?
Is it so bad?
Like takes.
Like black is fine, takes king f7 or whatever, but not.
Yeah. Apparently there's a big move here.
There's something big here.
I don't know what it is. I mean, I don't. I refuse to turn the engine on.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Except we've already gotten there because this is on the board.
Yeah, here we are.
Yeah, rook cg8. Oh, and the reason is you leave the f7 square for the bishop, and I'll show this when we get to the position.
Okay, so after h5 you can go take some bishop f7 and white can't castle.
Yep. Bishop e3 played. Magnus is going to take the bishop. This all makes sense. I mean, knight h2 is a cool move, but it's a sensible move. But rook g8 is hard. I mean, king f7 is like what your hand wants to play.
Yep.
Something tells me Bassem Amin will spend all of his time and go for the repetition.
That's normally what happens. Like you calculate a bunch of things, and you look at the clock. Oh, 2 minutes left. Okay, let's repeat moves.
Dude, Magnus he started with rook g8. That's genius. He's like, guess what? My knight on h2, safest piece on the board.
Yeah. To punish that, white would have to go bishop e2, but then rook takes h4, and the knight escapes via g4 if it needs to.
Dude, that right there. And how many people don't, like, I automatically capture on f3, probably even in a classical game. You just do it. Like, you have a knight on h2, you can take a bishop, you do it. No. Rook g8, he realizes that he's got this off-ramp when he wants to do it. Hikaru doesn't have the time to save his bishop. This move order is a lot more venomous. And if white plays h5, I'm going to put this on the board. Now, Jan, I think takes, and bishop f7 is...
Bishop f7 is nasty.
Devastating. Rook h1. And now a lot of options, I think.
Yeah, already.
Queen e8.
White lost a bit of coordination. Queen e8, queen b5. There's all kinds of annoying moves.
Yeah. And now you actually can't... Well, clearly you can't take because for starters there's... No, actually not rook takes h6 because f6 will hang. Oh, bishop h5. Same idea. Better execution. Beautiful. Bang, bang. And then take the rook. That is gorgeous. That is gorgeous. h5 played. Let's go.
Okay, now he more or less has to take. Now you really don't want to wait for bishop e2 without the h-rook helping. Oh yeah, take some bishop f7 is quite logical.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, Magnus is thinking, but why at this point, there's no reason to delay any further. He will take. Yeah. Bassem and Vishy have repeated once.
Yeah.
Okay. Trade has happened.
Bishop f7 happening too. Not yet.
I think the big moment will be bishop f7, rook h1. Can Magnus spot this tactic with queen e8, h6, gh? Because even queen e8 is a very hard move to see. I mean, it's a retreating move to the back rank. It's always the small moves that are the hardest moves to see. These queen d7 to e8, these types of retreating moves can be blind spots.
Yeah, my money's on Magnus. He got this far. Now he's got to target that pawn.
You know what Bassem is doing? Taking his time. It's admirable. It reminds me of what I used to do when I got a draw from a higher rated player and I wanted to take it, but I knew my coach would get mad.
Yeah.
So you
think
sit,
for half an hour. Sorry, I had 5 minutes left. Yeah.
Listen, I was in time pressure, and then you fabricate some lines that you were calculating. Even though you're going to take the draw. Listen, I had 2 minutes on my clock for 10 moves, and I really wanted to play on. I'm a fighter, I promise, but time pressure. You know how it is. Had to take the draw.
Yeah. I've done that many a time.
It's a classic.
Which is why I'm in favor of getting rid of draw offers. So at least we can't drive ourselves insane with like making up lines why we have to take draws. You have to think about the moves.
Okay, a different move by Carlsen, but I also really like
B5.
this
Yeah.
Great move.
Also look very tempting, hitting B2, eyeing the D3 square. I was wondering if white can castle queenside here. Or if then just bishop A2 and bishop B3, queen A4, and black is too fast. I wasn't sure.
This position is a great illustration that opposite colored bishops in the middle game are a totally different kettle of fish from opposite colored bishops in the end game. Here, it favors the attacker, and if the queens get swapped with the rooks on the board, it would still be great winning chances for black. But you know, when you have a weak square complex like this, it's hard to keep all the entry points sealed off.
Because you're a piece down on the light squares. So it would be nice for white to go B3 and C4 to cover those with pawns, but does he have time for that? It's B3, that's queen D3. Probably no.
And then bishop F7 could come at the most inopportune moment for white.
Yep.
I mean, we're used to Hikaru pulling off the magic in any position, but this is looking more and more miserable. Wow, bishop F3 was the source of great anguish. By the way, Bassem and Vishy are about to make the draw. They just shook hands.
Yeah, there they go. No surprises.
Yeah.
And you can't really blame them. They got the position. They played the best moves. It ended in a draw.
Yeah.
Well, that makes it more impressive that, Magnus finds a way to make the game a mess even from this one.
That should be an Onion headline. 2 grandmasters penalized for playing perfect game, making a draw. It happens.
Grandmaster's too good at chess.
There was no ill intent.
Nope. Hikaru taking his time here down to, what is this, 6 minutes 40? Not desperate time trouble for the likes of Hikaru and Magnus. Generally, there's no desperate time trouble when these guys have 10 seconds per move. They are still capable of playing great chess.
Oh, yeah.
But still, it doesn't matter.
5 seconds for 10 moves, no worries at all. But in the candidates, we did see the kind of time pressure you just don't see anymore with no increment until move 40. Man, did we get some juicy time scrambles.
Yeah, I love that format. Like, I grew up without increments. Even in Blitz, I always preferred 5-0 to 3-2.
Amen.
And in Classical, I never got it. Why not make it 2 hours or whatever for 40 moves? And if someone wants to have 5 seconds for 5 moves, let them. I mean, like, it's their choice. It's entertaining for everybody. So I don't know why we need this child protection of 30 seconds per move in Classical chess.
I don't know how to snap, but if I could, I'd be snapping right now. That's so true. It's more entertaining. And, listen, again, if you can't deal with 2 hours per game and you're going to get yourself to 10 seconds for 5 moves, sorry. I mean, tough luck. That's part of the game. But I'm a big fan. I really liked the candidate time control in general. I thought that was really good compromise.
No, because it makes sense to have increment later. Like, you don't want to have people getting flagged in some rook end game on move 72. There, I'm very fine with them getting it. But to have one proper time control to move 40, I'm a fan, and I hope that I think the trend is a bit towards that direction, not just with the candidates, but Norway chess. What's Norway chess nowadays? It's 2 hours for the entire game, like without increment. It's also somewhere going that direction. It's just much more fun.
I think now we need to tackle the 2 hours part and maybe turn the hours
into 1 minute.
Minutes. To 2 minutes. Small change. Still, there's still a 2 there. It's funny that 2-minute chess has never taken off. Bishop C1 in the meantime. Hikaru's just immediately bishop F7. No, this is coming apart.
It's a tough move to make because now your king can no longer escape to C1. And Queen E8 is still there if Magnus feels the need.
I mean, D5 would be my instinct, but also, Queen C6 in D5 looks great.
So many choices already.
Do you want to know the top engine move? It's completely was not on my radar. G5.
Rook H7? G5 directly.
G5.
Okay.
It's actually a really cool
also
move. I
nice.
mean, what is the point? The point is if white takes en passant, the king side opens and you get mated. If you don't, then black plays G4 and separates the queen and the pawn, and then later plays G3 and you get mated.
Yeah, looks very strong as well. If G5, H6, the bishop gets this G6 square, should it need it. Now it's so unpleasant. Once again, these dormant pieces on A1 and C1. I think Hikaru will look back at that bishop F3 moment and be very upset. He didn't spend more time there pushing the pawn.
He made the right move. It was just an extra letter, just it was the right move without the B part, not the bishop part.
So close. Mr. Carlson.
Now the vaunted conversion skills of Magnus will have to be on display.
The good news is he probably has some margin, even if he doesn't find G5. Like any of the moves you mentioned, Queen C6, D5, Queen E8, they all look nice.
Yep. Often choosing the option, the converting is hard for many reasons, but one is like when you have 3 or 4 moves and you're trying to find the best one, and not only do you get into time pressure, but then you get like decision fatigue. And Queen A4, okay, I mean, I can get behind that move.
Different one.
He's sitting on the position.
What's the point? He wants Queen C2, or what's the idea of this move?
So what if I goes like Bishop E3? What is the... Yeah, Queen C2, I guess, is his point.
Yeah. Or Bishop E3, he just repeats once with Queen B5, Bishop C1, and then goes G5.
Made you think about it, milk some time off Hikaru's clock, yeah.
No, but Queen C2 looks very unpleasant.
Yeah, there's nothing worse when your opponent makes a move. You think he's got some nefarious intentions. So you spend 20 minutes, and then it turns out that they were just trying to repeat the position.
Yeah, it does happen. Although Magnus usually not how he operates, I would guess.
It reminds me of a funny incident, and I love Vishy, and he's so classy. Even when he's justifiably mad about something, there was a famous moment in the press conference of his World Championship match with Magnus when I think a reporter or journalist kept asking him, like, so in the critical moment of the game when you made a mistake, were you really just like sitting there calculating the variations? And Vishy responded, no, I was thinking what to eat tonight.
Yeah,
and it's like the most Vishy response ever. I love that moment.
They torture Vishy in these press conferences.
I know.
Really
it's like,
good.
dude, no, I was thinking about the string theory during the World Chess Championship match.
Yeah, I think that was also the debut for a lot of Norwegian media to start covering big chess events. And, well, obviously they weren't on Vishy's sides, but they also weren't really used to what to ask and what not to ask. So, yeah, I think he had a rough time there. But total gentleman, the legend, Vishy Anand.
Vicious. Yeah, Vishy's great. I've had the chance to commentate with him a few times, and I'm a fan. I'm a big fan, and these top guys make chess fun, and anybody who has the kind of class that Vishy does is a good force for chess. Queen E2 on the board. Okay.
The move you love to play, but gotta play something. And also, we shouldn't
still
forget that
repeat.
Hikaru, we've seen him defend any position on Earth. So, what does black do? Bishop c4 looks tempting, but that bishop is also on f7, keeping an eye on the h5 pawn. It's doing its job already.
Mm-hmm. You can go
Still
queen b5 and
queen
repeat.
e8. It's possible. How bad is the endgame? It's pretty bad for white, yeah. Like queen b5 takes, and a4 or whatever. No, it looks terrible.
Bishop g6 came to mind because now the rook on h1 is no longer protected, but bishop g6, maybe there's rook h4 holding everything together. Maybe then d5. Look at those double pins.
Whoa.
It's a cool line.
d5, b3, I don't know. It feels like it's getting getting messy.
Yeah. What Hikaru wants is to drag Magnus down to a time scramble. And so far, he's not doing a bad job of it. Now Magnus down to 5 minutes. He's got to make a choice. He's got to make a decision.
Yeah, one thing Hikaru almost never does is, even in these disgusting positions like the one he has, he doesn't beat himself. Like, he will make you beat him, find good moves to increase the pressure. And it's very, very hard to do against almost infinite resistance. Even for the very best players like Magnus, we've seen Hikaru defend so many positions. It's a very unique skill.
Yeah, there's nothing more frustrating than thinking you have a forced win. All chess principles seem to indicate that you have a forced win. Hikaru's king is like on h5 and there's no pieces around it, and you've got 6 pieces surrounding that king, and there's no mate. There's no forced win. And it's, it seems like magic, but it's just the product of the fighting spirit and, one-of-a-kind view of the board and chess vision that these players have. Of course, Magnus does the same thing when he's defending and the shoe's on the other foot. Right now, he's down to 4 minutes. Maybe not too happy at Queen A4. It feels like that might have been a step in the wrong direction, Jan.
Yeah.
A little bit.
It felt slightly off topic, still keeping an edge. But maybe it's time. Oh no, D5. He doubles down.
Good man. I think that's a great move. I think that's the move that the position demanded, and it justifies Queen A4 because now E4 is hanging.
Huh? If ED, Bishop D5. It's also awkward for white. The rook doesn't have an obvious square. Let's say rook G1. Ugh.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Ooh.
Bishop C4, rook D8. It's feeling very matey.
Yep.
2 minutes for Hikaru. B3 came to my mind and Bishop A3 check, but that's just one check, and that endgame is dead loss. You're just dropping all the pawns in the world.
Yeah, it's 2 pawns, yeah.
No, this is... Somehow when D5 was played, just looking at Hikaru's facial expressions, it's miserable.
He's not happy.
Yeah. Bishop F3 really screwed him over. I mean, if he had played pawn F3, white was very much in the driver's seat.
Very different game. Also, white position much easier to play. Bishop G5, whatever. Queen D2. Put the king somewhere.
He trades
rook Bishop F3. Ugh. Not pretty, but once again, he's not beating himself.
Yeah. And white only needs a few moves to resurrect him. Like Bishop E3, if he can get that rook involved. Black's king is, let's not forget, still on E7. So Magnus has to be precise in this position. Queen C6, Bishop F3, I showed with an arrow, I think is one way to try to set up a nice domination on the light squares. He's played it. There we go.
Also stopping B3 because C3 is hanging.
And rook H3 to stop Bishop F3. Maybe then you go G5. F4, last ditch attempt by Hikaru to complicate the game. Here he goes. It's scary when Hikaru does it.
Yeah.
Bishop F3.
But the white king is so open.
Yeah.
Queen
and don't be
E3.
Yeah, I mean, even the king could actually slide out of the way to preempt F takes E5, because then a rook would come to E8. Yeah, Hikaru's nonplussed about this. Rook D8 also looks good. 1 minute now on his clock. He's not going to resign, though. There's still chess left to be played here.
So tough. Yeah, Queen E3 played. I was even wondering if rook takes H5. If there's already a way through. Rook H5, Rook H5,
oh, yeah.
Bishop H5, Fe, Queen H1, King F2. then something smart. It looks like this. Could
Rook
also
G8
end
to
badly
G2,
already.
jumping over the pawn.
That'd be nice, yeah.
Okay. Magnus is looking for the knockout. This is where Hikaru's bread is buttered sometimes. Now you're like, where's that forced win? It's got to be there. Where is it? Why is my clock ticking down? Why am I not winning anymore? Why am I losing all of a sudden? How is this happening? What's the meaning of life? Why does this happen every time against Hikaru? But Magnus, of course, I don't think is going to let any of this happen. King F7 is the best
Taking his time
engine
here, 238. King F7 is the move, yeah. That's a nice one. Also,
King
stopping
F7 is
all
a
queen
brilliant
C5
move.
checks, yeah. In the future. It's very classy. And hang on. No, he did take on H5. Yeah, we get this.
Queen H1, King F2, though. And what now?
Still looks terrible, but how do you get the job done? King F2, I don't know, Queen H2, King E1, or King F1, F5. Oh no, he went Rook E8. Huh?
Lovely. EF King F7 would win. That is a Magnus move. That is just like the epitome of a Magnus move right there.
What's next? If King F2, then he wants King F7, yeah, and then to take on E5 with the Rook. Then once all the attackers are there, the game will play itself. Yeah, Hikaru doesn't like it.
Yeah. It's over. Now it's over. And Rook E8, right? That's the secret sauce. That's the moves we take for granted. When if you don't find a move like that, the game goes on. Anything can happen. Magnus.
Especially if you have an option like Queen H1 check, which many people would probably play automatically, drag the king out. But no, take your time, invite everyone to the party. The fruit will ripen in its own accord.
20 seconds for Hikaru, but the time isn't even the problem here. It's the position. E6 might be tried, I think. But King F8 and it's over.
King F8, yeah.
There's no moves. There are no moves.
Queen
H3, no. Queen
G1,
ugh.
Queen G1.
No.
King F7 anyway, no? And then Bishop F4.
Queen E4. Queen E4, Queen E3, Rook E5.
Yeah.
Queen E3, Rook E5 is nice, actually.
Yeah. It's painful. No, he goes Bishop E3. Try
Rook
but it's not even allowed to castle. Rook E5, the bishop on H5
but
castles the D1 square. No castle allowed.
Queen E4, Bishop G6. I mean, yeah. Goodbye.
Wow, this is reaching the point where I think I would win this, which normally means it's time
Rook
to say goodbye.
takes E3, maybe?
Yeah,
Deserves consideration.
move. Not forced. Queen D3. Not terrible either, but yeah. Rook E3 is pretty clean. And Hikaru does resign. What a titanic struggle. Magnus Carlsen wins.
Instead of bishop f3?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
The bishop on c1, you mean? Yeah, still
Yeah.
knight f6?
Yeah, knight f6, bishop g5, and then...
Yeah, but I mean, black should be better here with king f8 and knight h5, I thought. I mean, it's better than the game, obviously.
Yeah,
but
but...
just
Yeah, of
better.
course I'm completely fine. And the pawn on f3 is good for me.
Yeah, no, I think it's just...
Yeah,
it's an easier position for black. It's maybe not better, but easier.
I think Hikaru drank the Kool-Aid there.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
King
Magnus
F8,
mentioned
you
was
can't go
F3.
knight H5.
No. That was the key moment. And we'll see if the... I keep wanting to say world champion, which I guess he's rapid world champion. But if Magnus Carlsen, the world number one, will join us to share his impressions of what happened there.
That was a really fun game. Both players bringing their A game, bringing the fighting spirit, and that's what we wanted to see. That's what we saw. Magnus takes this one, but Hikaru will have another chance tomorrow, and it was a topsy-turvy game. King takes e7. That was a statement move. And knight h2. Magnus made a lot of great moves in this game.
Tour de force, but mainly the willpower to play knight f6 and then king takes e7, just pushing himself to play with black is already impressive. And then he does have the skills to back it up.
And then the key moment, bishop f3, queen d7, and things went off the rails. f3. Hikaru wasn't a fan of this position, but it feels like it should be...
How bad can it be? It looks completely fine. I'm surprised.
Yeah. And queen, I think he was mentioning knight h5, and obviously like the dark squares could be a problem. Hikaru's feel for the position is incredible in most cases, but here I think he maybe underestimated the chances against black's king. I mean, it's so easy for me to say we have the benefit of looking over this position. Bishop f3 makes sense, but concretely it didn't work out.
Yeah. Hikaru mentioned this king f8, I don't know, queen b6, knight h5 plan, but maybe why isn't time to go h5, h6 there? After bishop f3, the tables turned so quickly, starting with this little but nasty queen d7 move, and then knight h2, the star move, and it was just tough going for Hikaru ever since.
Just a masterclass on both sides of the board. Magnus with perfect technique. And we've got the man himself.
We are being joined by Magnus Carlsen himself. Magnus, congratulations.
Way too loud. It was way too loud.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you just use it.
Okay.
Okay, we should be more quiet. Magnus, congratulations. Great victory. What happened in that game?
Yeah, I think I was pretty lucky with the starting position that we got. I don't know what game this was, but it seems that all of the games are from some kind of world championship match. So
this is Karpov-Kasparov, 1985.
Yeah, I was going to say this looked like one of the games from the second match where Gary was trying to play these systems. And it seemed like a pretty nice one for black from the beginning. I saw that Vishy made the draw with bishop takes h4. I wasn't quite sure if Hikaru had to take the draw. I thought maybe he could continue positionally somehow there, but regardless, I wasn't interested in the draw. But it seemed like I had a fairly nice playable position. And it seemed to me, though, that his plan with bishop f3 and giving away the light square bishop was completely misguided, seeing as he had already weakened some light squares with c3 as well. These positions, like if he could consolidate and put the pawn on b3, castle queenside, and so on, then he'd be fine. And yeah, I see that the arrow is showing f3, and that's what I was expecting. 100%. I thought that it would be quite useful to force f3 to make it a bit harder for him to contest the dark squares on the king side, since the queen cannot go to f3. And so I thought I had a fine position here, and that's what Hikaru said after the game as well, that he thought that the black position was easier to play. But certainly compared to the game, this was of course a lot better.
What about king takes e7, Magnus? What was your decision making behind choosing that over queen e7? That was a cool move.
Yeah, it's not like the king is gonna. It's not like I'm likely to castle king side regardless. So I thought it's nice to connect the rooks. And to be fair, it is quite a common theme in the Sicilian as well, that you take with the king. What happened in the game, by the way, between Karpov and Kasparov? Because
Gary
I seem to
played
remember
queen takes e7.
Oh, okay. because I seem to remember some game where the knight was going to g4, and there was some move by move sequence that was fine for black. But I don't know. King takes e7 just feels it feels better to me. But I don't know.
Yeah, the game I think was Queen e7, g5, hg, hg, rook h1, bishop h1, knight g4, bishop c1, and complications.
Yeah.
Followed something like that.
Yeah, I seem to recall having seen this position before.
You called it, Jan.
How about the other positions? Do you know what game 1 was from, the Evans Gambit?
Yeah, I was just thinking that this smells of Steinitz to high heaven, and that was confirmed as well. The second one was quite a bit harder. For the second one, of course, the players voted on the position, and I think everybody sort of voted for what they wanted. I was thinking that I definitely don't want anything to do with the rouser, so it was between the French and and this one, and I thought the French just looked a bit too complicated, so let me play something that's a bit safe while the other made choices there as well. It's a pity though that Bassem played rook d1 and Vishy did as well, because then you sort of have to go for d5, and nothing really happens. It's just going to be mass liquidation, which kind of is not the point of this particular chess format, but yeah, it can happen.
How do you like the format in general?
That was gonna be
yeah, it's quite enjoyable so far. I like the process of the position being chosen some way or the other, and I don't get many chances to play Evans Gambits either, so it's nice to get one of those. Or those. So I was thinking though during the last game, like, if we could only get those kinds of positions, like everybody would want to play these old kind of Scheveningen hybrid, whatever lines that they're called, but I guess it's not that easy. But it's super fun to be able to play some positions that I don't normally play.
I have some important questions. The big news in my native city of Hamburg is that you've joined the St. Pauli Chess Club, and people are wondering, are you moving to Hamburg? Will they see you on the Reeperbahn? What's happening with the St. Pauli Chess Club, Magnus?
No, I mean, since it was a spring of dual promotions, I will certainly try and catch a football game. Like I watched St. Pauli a few years ago in the second Bundesliga with Peter, and it was a great atmosphere. They even stayed back, everybody applauding the players after they'd lost pretty horribly 3-1 at home to FSV Frankfurt, which was one of the worst teams in the league and was eventually relegated down from the second division. So it's a fun club for sure, and I'm hearing that they are recruiting a lot of players now. I don't know how they're doing it, but rumors are that they're even bringing people out of retirement for the Bundesliga. So that's a lot of fun.
Wow, Peter Hyde is playing.
I didn't say that.
Last question. Last question for you, Magnus. Are you going to watch F1 in the Premier League final tomorrow? It's why the round tomorrow is pushed by 3 hours.
I know, it's awesome. Well, specifically before for the last round of the Premier League, which ends like right before the rounds start. So, yeah, I don't know if that was intentional, but I love it.
Last question: Denver or Minnesota? Who you got?
You know what? I just think Denver got decent shots in game 6, and that they're going to go in at home. So I will, by a smidge, pick Denver. But It's been fun. Usually, I don't like series with so many blowouts, but this has been one of the fun kind because the level of play is so high.
Mm-hmm. Game 5 was
wait
amazing.
for tomorrow. Thank you so much, Magnus Carlsen. Congrats on the lead in the tournament, and we'll see more of you tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Well done, Magnus. Thank you.
Wow, what a sports day we'll have tomorrow. The final 3 rounds of the Casablanca Chess, Premier League, F1, NBA Game 7s. It's hard to ask for more on a single day.
Wow. And even today, we have the day 1 of Casablanca Chess. We have the Mavs playing the Thunder later tonight. I'll be on the edge of my seat watching that series. But what a great day. What a great way to kick off the weekend. And that was an awesome job by Magnus, who currently leads with 2.5 out of 3. And tomorrow will be the decisive day when they all face each other one more time with the same format.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's been fun. I'm very curious what positions we will get for tomorrow's games. Do we get another vote? What's the system? Do we get to vote game 4? Or are we out of the decision-making progress?
Well, I think we might. Just remember that tomorrow's round does start 3 hours later. It actually is 3 hours later because of the Premier League and F1. That is the actual reason. But it's
who thinks of
also,
NBA? There's an NBA game at 9:30.
That's right, and it gives me a chance to sleep in, being on the East Coast of the U.S. But it's going to be an awesome day. You won't want to miss tomorrow. And this has been really fun, Jan. I think I'm all for tournaments with new formats. Of course, there's ways this can be improved. It's a process that gets refined, but I think this has been awesome, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow.
Yeah, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you so much. I see it here. Round number 4 position will be selected by Anna Bortasova and Dana on site. Then round number 5 is the players again. They'll mess it up. But round number 6, the chat can once again vote. So looking forward to it. Thank you so much, Daniel. Thanks to everybody involved making this tournament happen. See you guys tomorrow at 8 p.m. my time, whatever that is. There.
Bye.
you